Chairman Langella, your presence is requested.
It is?
Yeah.
I drove here from the Mayo Clinic.
Oh,
I didn't even have a chance.
how you doing? I see that now.
Good.
Yeah?
I had a blood test.
Oh, okay. It's still in there, right? Still the right color, all that stuff?
Oh, it looked green to me. We're running. We're a minute behind, so. Hannah, are we expecting any more board members?
The only board member excused is Michael Goodman.
Right place.
Okay, 2 people were showing up? We're just going to give it a couple more minutes for maybe one more board member.
How you doing?
There he is. Good evening, and it's 6:04. Welcome to the Flagler County Planning and Development Board. And I guess, Hannah, do you want to do a roll call?
Yes. Anthony Lombardo. Dan Wilcox.
Here.
Ron Long.
Here.
Michael Boyd.
Here.
Timothy Connor.
Here.
And Mark Langella.
Here.
We do have a full quorum.
Thank you. Would everybody please join in the Pledge of Allegiance? I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Thank you very much. Has everyone had a chance to read the minutes? Can we have a motion?
I'll make a motion to approve the minutes.
Can we have a second?
A second.
Okay, motion, anyone have any comments? Hearing none, just a vote, right? All those in favor of approval, signify by saying aye.
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 Any opposed? No. Okay, this is a quasi-judicial process. The audience should refrain from clapping, booing, shouts of approval, disagreement, to avoid potential legal ramifications and possible overturning of a decision by the courts. A public hearing must be fair in three aspects: form, substance, and appearance. We will have some time limits, as always. The staff presentation would be 10 minutes. Applicant will have 15-minute presentation. The public has 3 minutes unless you're speaking for a group, and then you have 5 minutes. If you're speaking on behalf of the group, then nobody else in the group can speak. And then there will be, applicant will have a rebuttal, normally 10 minutes. We will, there's not many items tonight, so we're not going to be too picky on all of that time, but we will try to keep it reasonable tonight. At this point now, Hannah, do you want to swear in any of the,
Yes. If anybody who is an applicant or a member of the public that is going to speak on an item on tonight's agenda, if you would please stand and raise your right hand.
if you're going to speak, you have to stand and raise your hand. You guys are going to speak on your application. You can just,
Do you swear that the testimony you are going to give today is the truth, the whole truth, nothing but the truth, so help you God? Thank you. You may continue.
thank you for that process. Okay, the first item is a quasi-judicial process. Does anyone have any ex parte communication? Hearing none. This is continued from the April 14th Planning Board meeting. It is project number 2025-08-0063, request for a variance in the RC district. Hannah, are you doing this?
Yes, me. So this project should be one that you guys are all familiar with. This is continued from the April 14th Planning and Development Board meeting. This is an accurate aerial of the project, or of the property. You can see it is on the corner of Pelican Lane and Mockingbird Lane up in the River Beach subdivision. Just to summarize kind of the history of this project, there was an order rendered after the original application back in February of 2025 that granted several variances for a pool and pool deck, subject to the condition that the pump house be within the walled-in area of the pool and the pool deck with its height not to exceed 4 feet. This condition was appealed by the applicant, and the Board of County Commissioners unanimously voted to deny the appeal at their May 2025 meeting. The applicant then submitted another variance, and it was heard at the July 8th, 2025 and the August 12th Planning and Development Board meetings. Both meetings resulted in a split vote, 2-2, followed by unanimous motions to continue. After the August meeting, staff determined that a split vote is a failed motion and therefore a denial. The applicant then submitted a new application, which was heard at the September 2025 meeting, where the motion to approve failed 3-3 and was therefore denied. This was appealed by the applicant, in which the Board of County Commissioners voted unanimously to remand the application back to the Planning and Development Board on the basis that a failed motion is not a basis for denial. So the current application was seen before you guys at the April 14th Planning and Development Board meeting, in which we had a motion to approve that failed 3-3, a motion to deny that failed 3-3, and a continuance requested to today's meeting. The future land use on the property is mostly mixed use, low intensity, with the zoning being residential/limited commercial. The soils on the property are a quartz mix. It is not in a special flood hazard area, being located in Zone X, and there are no wetlands on the property. This is an excerpt from the plat showing that corner lot being Lot 13 and the 8 southerly feet of Lot 16. And then this is an accurate site plan of the property in its current state and the proposed pool, deck, and pump house. As you've seen before, here are some renderings provided by the applicant showing that pump house. Reading our variance criteria into the record. Number 1, pertaining to any extraordinary or exceptional conditions about the property. The subject property is an undersized lot of record, being a part of the River Beach subdivision dating back to 1959 and being approximately 1,500 square feet under the minimum lot size of 9,000 square feet in the RC district. Number 2, this is a before the fact variance request, and the applicant is seeking permission before applying for a building permit. Number 3, the granting of the variance will not cause any substantial detriment to the public health, welfare, safety, and morals of the community. The applicant has submitted renderings showing that the pump house will be designed and built consistent with the existing dwelling. Number 4, pools, pool decks, and pump houses are permitted accessory uses and structures within the RC zoning district. And number 5, being that the minimum relief should be, or the request should be the minimum reliefs necessary to alleviate the hardship. The newly proposed location of the pump house reduces the necessary relief for the street side setback, but increases the necessary relief for the lot coverage. The current 4-foot height limitation does reduce the accessibility and the use of the pump house. While the requested variances are before the fact and the property is an undersized lot of record, the hardship is self-created. When the staff analysis was created in this presentation for tonight's hearing, we did not have any new evidence from the applicant. Since then, and it was forwarded to you guys today in your email, we did receive an engineered report prepared by LAV Engineering. I believe Chuck, our interim director, would like to speak to that letter.
Chairman, members of the board, good evening. Chuck Miranda, Interim Growth Management Director. So as Hannah was saying, the continuance was based on receiving evidence of the requirement for the height. So today, about 12:15, I believe, we received several additional forms of evidence, including photographs, a letter from the contractor stating that they were going to speak at the meeting, and that's Tamara Daniels with Ortiz Pool. But the main thing we received was the engineering report from LAV Engineering. And the basis, and we didn't have a lot of time to look at it, but we have a brief summary. And staff is not recommending for denial or approval of this application. We're just trying to summarize this new evidence. And I know the board got it. Hopefully you had time to look at it. So the LAV Engineering was retained to evaluate the engineering basis for the proposed pool equipment enclosure at the subject address in support of the variance for the height. And their summary was the purpose of the enclosure is to protect the equipment from exposure to the coastal environment on the subject property for maintenance and future replacement. And they described the enclosure as being 8 by 12 with 8-foot interior ceilings, a 3-on-12 gable roof, and the proposed height of the structure at the gable is 9'7" with, I believe it was additional, let me see, 4 by 7 roll-up door also. So that was the description. Now, they cited some code sections in the electrical code, which establishes workspace requirements for horizontal access, which is typically for electric panels. So it didn't really relate to this height of the structure. Also, the height that was cited is a maximum height. It's not a minimum. And then the other section of NEC, the National Electric Code, they cited was having to do with again, a maximum height of 6'7". I spoke with the building official about these documents. I'm also a licensed commercial and residential inspector and plans examiner. And also, like I said, discussed with the building official. Can you put the next slide, Hannah? So the summary of the report stated that these provisions that they cited, the code sections, do not independently prescribe an 8-foot ceiling height. Rather, they establish minimum access, which was the case, minimum access to a panel or a shutoff. And it still doesn't reference anything in the code, the minimum 8-foot ceiling height. And once again, this is just a summary of the report. It's not any of staff's opinion. So the last conclusion was based on the the pull system, the code requirements, the site conditions, the considerations. It's in the engineer's opinion that the building serves a legitimate mechanical, electrical, environmental protection function, and that the pro's ridge height, which is the top of the gable, 9'7", is reasonable and appropriate. And our response is that the conclusion is based on the engineer opinion, that the enclosure serves a legitimate function, and the requested height is reasonable and appropriate, but it's not supported by manufacturing spacing recommendations or code sections. And once again, staff is not recommending approval or denial on this. So is there any questions on the report while I'm up here?
So with this, and that's really where I landed a lot on this, with this saying that the requested height is reasonable and appropriate, and nowhere is that saying it's required though, right?
No, in what we base our mechanical review on, residential, commercial, mostly the manufacturer specs, especially for an air-conditioned separation from the house, we don't, it's based on manufacturer's recommendations. That's what we base our code by. This didn't have any, I'm not sure why, spacing from walls, spacing from windows, things like that.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you.
Anybody else? Okay, thank you, Chuck.
Okay.
Okay,
Continuing on, if I could just read your options as the board today. Your options today are to find that all the variance criteria as listed in the guidelines have been met and therefore approve project number 2025080063 for a 22.34 left street side setback variance from the minimum required 25-foot street side setback and a 1.2% lot coverage variance from the maximum allowed 35% lot coverage for a pump house at 3 Pelican Lane. Or you can find that all the variance criteria have not been met and therefore deny the project. With that, I will close out and await any questions or comments from the board.
thank you, Hannah. Does anybody have any questions for staff?
I do. This
Good.
looks like an approval of the,
Mr. Connor, is your mic on?
am I not on again?
Yeah, okay.
This looks like the way this is worded, it's an approval of a footprint. We've already given the approval of the footprint. Isn't that still in place? I thought we were complaining about the height.
When Mr. Royer came in with this version of the application request, he did shift the pump house a little bit closer to the house. So that was a change in the setback, and he did increase the
So it
overall
does change the footprint itself.
a little bit, yeah, for an additional
Simone,
percentage too.
it changed the footprint and the setback and the amount of impervious, correct?
Yes.
Okay.
But not moving it to the back, just moving it, sliding it closer to the house.
Correct.
Okay. Thank you.
Any other questions for staff? Okay, at this point, the applicant will have his turn. Mr. Royer, please identify yourself.
Raymond Royer, Painters Hill. So this is an engineering evaluation report that was requested. I believe Timmy mentioned at my last hearing when none of us are professionals. So this is just a preliminary draft by a qualified engineer. He looked at all my equipment. I don't want to spend, $4,000 now to send a draft up showing the piping and everything and manufacturer specs until I have an approval. He understood that, so he's given his opinion letter, and his opinion letter is more than efficient to see that 4 feet is not doable to all the codes. For safety standards, for maintenance standards, I'm going to be using, we mentioned this before, I'm going to be using a 3-foot cartridge system. So in order to pull that cartridge out, I would need a 3-foot additional ceiling space to pull that cartridge out safely and not damage it when replacing it. And just the service of all of the equipment, to work at the service panel particularly, to shut off the power. The service panel is going to be a 200 amp panel. So, yeah, this is just an opinion letter. That's all it is. It's not going to go into detail. He does say in the letter, if you read on, that will be later if I get approved today. I would be submitting a final draft for zoning permitting, and then that'll show the piping, the electrical, the working space, right down to detail. He does show a picture in here for the ceiling height, and he does show a picture in here for the roof. And there's not going to be any additional space up there for storage, like people have mentioned. Okay, this is as tight as I can get it. And also, it needs the room because I'm putting the heat pump in the building. Okay, so it's going to get the heat from the motors that are already in there, and I'm also going to bring other additional heat in there so I can have an exchange of heat when the winter months come in the 4 months that we have. The other thing I would like to address is, we had additional buildings, and I don't know if there's a viewer up.
Can we get the overhead projector for the applicant? Oh, it's over there. Okay.
So, I was mentioned earlier that, my renderings weren't professional, but the one on the right, I guess, is supposed to be acceptable, and that's where the building's going to go. If you see how the building is rendered on the right, it's supposed to be in front of the house totally. That's not happening. So I also had a neighbor manipulate a salesman to say that 4 feet is this required. That paperwork was submitted, and that was from Chris, and he mentioned in his letter that the manufacturer does not recommend any building height or anything. It's between the homeowner and the pool builder and the builder itself. So there's no recommendations from Chris, and he denied that. Also, there was zoning conflicts of aesthetics, the neighboring homes. We don't have, our neighbor is all over the place. We have different style of homes. We have a house going across the street. Right now, I understand it's going to be 2 stories, but they're also looking at maybe possibly going 3 stories on that house. So that's right across from me. And then there's a letter presented today from a neighbor that was mentioned when Dave was still alive, her father. Unfortunately, he passed away. He was a yes guy. He came here in support, but he passed away. She put a letter in to support my pool. And she has a young child that's less than 2 years old. So she's not concerned about safety concerns that was mentioned earlier. I've done everything possible. I've reached every goal possible. Again, I'm not going to go deep into the engineering and report because it's presented to you with 4 pages. I think it's a well-written report without going too deep, and again, showing all the renderings. I do have my building person here, but I guess she'll be under public comment. I don't know how that works, but she's
So you
here.
can come up now if
Yeah,
you'd
she
like.
can come
You
up
can
now.
come up under your presentation.
So the proposed.
Please identify yourself.
Oh, I'm so sorry. Tamara Daniels on behalf of Ortiz Contracting Services. The proposed height doesn't allow for ventilation of the equipment. You're going to have combustible gases and chemicals and the heat that's generated from the pumps. If it's only 4 feet tall, that's not feasible anyway because you can't service it. But it's not going to allow enough ventilation. So we're proposing gable end vents to vent it, and then a ridge vent as well to vent it so that we can get maximum air ventilation going through the building so that no gases or heat builds up. And that requires, as I said, you have to have the room to do that. If it's 4 feet, where do you want the gases to go? The house is going to blow, It's just not really a safety thing. And then, as we already stated, it's a 3-foot tall filter. So you're a 3-foot tall filter, and you have to be able to get it out of the housing. Going to be a pad underneath that usually. I'm not 100% sure because we haven't gotten to the engineering stage yet. But generally speaking, we put the equipment on a pad, not directly onto the concrete because we have to have some type of separation. So there's a foam lining inside of the equipment pad, so it doesn't sit directly on the concrete and cause corrosion. We want all of the equipment and the building and the foundation to last as long as possible. So those are about, roughly, I don't have a tape measure with me, but it's about that high for the equipment pad. And then you have the equipment that sits on top of it. So 4 feet, there's no point. And there are other buildings, because I have gone by there and he actually has pictures. There's garages that are in front of the houses, right near the street, not technically matching the houses that it belongs to, when they already have garages, and then there's like a single-car garage that they just threw in. That worked out. He can show you those. So what he's asking to do is aesthetically pleasing, mechanically necessary, and it's going to be within, I thought, the code. Anywhere else that I build, I haven't had this problem of height.
Excuse me, ma'am, you said you're a licensed pool contractor?
Yes.
You're the
state.
license holder?
I run the division. I'm not the license holder. The license holder, unfortunately, or fortunately, is on a family vacation this week that was planned several months ago for his birthday. So I'm representing the company, and I do all of the building and roofing for the company under the contractor. And I do have a building license. I just have not activated it because I don't need one. I just work with his. So,
Okay.
But yes, so we're licensed, state licensed, building, roofing, and pool and spa contractors. So this is, an unusual pool. It's not one that we've done before because it has the current in it. Most of the pools that we built are for cocktailers, not swimmers. So this is a little different. But the equipment is extremely expensive. We're talking like $40,000 in equipment. You want that sitting out, exposed to the elements, to the sand that's blowing around all the time. And it's still going to make a lot of noise as well. If it's housed inside of the building, it's going to be quiet, it's going to be protected, it'll be preserved, and it'll be aesthetically pleasing because it's going to look like it was part of the house all along. Any questions?
Does anyone have any questions at this time for the applicant? Go ahead.
There's going to be a heat pump in there, right, to heat the pool as well? So you have the cartridge heat pump, and then the
Filter.
filter, and then the machine that pumps the current. All that stuff's going to be in
Yes.
there.
Ma'am, make sure you're
Everything's going to
speaking,
be
ma'am, make sure you're
enclosed.
speaking to the microphone, okay?
Oh, I'm so sorry. Yes, everything is going to be inside of the building. None of the equipment will be outside other than the pool, of course.
Is the building going to be insulated at all? Is there going to be insulation in there?
We were planning to do a block building. I haven't gotten the plans yet, so I don't know if the engineer is going to call for an
Concrete
R5
block.
or what the insulation is going to be.
Okay,
But that's not outside the realm of possibility.
gotcha.
Oh, okay. Actually, he knows the answer.
There's not going to be any insulation in there. The reason the heat pump's going to be in there, and it's going to be block, I want the heat from the exchange of the block to help the heat pump generate the exchange, okay? And also, there could be 2 heat pumps because the largest one I could buy in electric is up to 180 to about 200 BTU. So in order to get the extra 4 months, I might have to go with 2 units. So the space will accommodate for the 2, but then you have to have the spacing in between them and everything like that. Like I mentioned before, my trade was a pipe fitter, so I understand CFMs, I understand the flow and everything. And then, talking with Louis here, my architect, mechanical engineer, he related to what I was saying. And he said, it's actually a good idea to do what you're doing. And the manufacturer doesn't recommend that you put it in a building like that, but at the same token, we have zoning now where people are putting fences around it. Okay, and I went to Palm Coast and I told them the fence that you're requiring these homeowners to put around their AC is you're actually destroying them, the AC. They're too close. You need a minimum at least 3 feet or you're going to have a vortex and you're going to have that heat exchange go out and it's going to come right back in and you're not going to get a proper exchange. So, yeah, I've talked on different issues like that. Again, it'll be accommodated in the thing. And then plus, when it's down, the salt water won't be affecting the heat pumps, okay? So that's the other thing. I'm trying to get the best longevity out of my equipment. Again, it's not going to, salt's going to be in the air, definitely. But I like to try to get at least 15, 20 years out of this equipment. And by that time, I'll be, you know, in my 90s and probably not swimming anymore. But anyway, outside of that, that's all I have to say, gentlemen. So this, let's get this done. Thank you.
I have a question for, I'm sorry, I forgot your name.
Okay, Tamara.
Tamara. You mentioned
With a T, Tamara.
Tamara, okay. You mentioned gases.
Just the natural gases from the equipment. It has chemicals in it. You know, it's a
gases are we
salt
talking about?
system and that creates chlorine. So there's going to be gases in there and you don't want those to be trapped. And then the heat as well. So you
No, I
want to
just
be
want to know
able.
what gases you were talking about.
Yeah, that's all it was.
Chlorine.
We're not, yeah, chlorine.
Okay, thank you.
However, the owner of the company, the contractor, ended up in the hospital because he opened up a pool house in a commercial job, and the fumes hit him, and he ended up in the hospital. So they are serious. You want to make sure that you have complete and proper ventilation. This pool house, unfortunately, did not, and we did not take that job because he almost died.
Can you enhance the ventilation in the building with fans?
You can, however, he does want to use some of the heat that it will build up. So we'll have a ridge vent running the entire ridge of
So we
the,
want to control for the heat, and we need a bigger building, but we want to contain the heat at the same time?
we want the gases to dissipate. Because if they build up and they're exasperated by the heat, it can cause problems.
And you can't do that with fans?
I suppose you could.
Okay, I have another question for her before you interrupt. Mr. Royer, I let you talk. I'm not trying to cut you off. It was customary years ago to go down when pool houses were built. You see them all over Florida, the old hotels and places like that. Is there any reason why you can't go down with this particular pump house?
I don't have the specifics of the equipment, but I know that now the pool equipment should be level with the deck. We don't bury them anymore. The only ones that are buried are commercial, and that's the vac packs get buried. So this is not a vac pack. This is a residential system. Although high-tech and very high-end, it's still residential. So it's not a vac pack. The pumps would not pump it up to the surface and then into the pool. So it's recommended to do it at deck height.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Okay,
Just one note, gentlemen. The reason there's no manufacturer, because I talked to Lewis, and I expressed to Lewis with, going a year and a half, pricing has changed all over the place with, these trade agreements going all over the place. So, I was going wayward and I was going this way. And so I told him at this point, until I have an approval, we'll put something together and then get zoning to put it together for zoning purposes. And also, the discharge for the heat pumps will be piped, okay, to the side of the building. Okay, so they're not going to be blowing around in there. So I want to try to maximize the heat that's in there, so they will be discharged through a 30-inch pipe. So just to let you know, thank you.
thank you, Mr. Royer. Okay, at this point, thank you, ma'am. Yes, Tamara, thank you, you're all set. At this point, I'd like to open this up to public comment. If there's anyone in the public who'd like to speak on this item, please step forward and identify yourself.
I'm Maureen Brunk. I live at 5 Cardinal, and I'm speaking on behalf of myself, my husband, and neighbors on Cardinal, Terry Lane and Sari Ayers. So I just want to let the board know that we've had some statements thrown out that I think are a threat of a lawsuit, and I just want to make sure that that does not sway your opinion on how you vote. So the other thing is the legal counsel has said that we need to have legal competent substantial evidence supporting the height requirement. This engineering report does not do that. It doesn't even tell us what equipment is going to be proposed. We don't even know what he's purchasing. How can you have a variance and pass it if you don't know what the equipment is? That's not fair to you or the neighborhood. Also, final equipment specifications and configuration will be determined after variance approval. This is in the report. That's not suitable. The report does not identify code requirement for an 8-foot height. He cites a code in here, but it doesn't prescribe an 8-foot ceiling height. NEC doesn't establish an 8-foot requirement. Equipment hasn't been selected and it does not represent final manufacturer or model selection. The board shouldn't be asked to approve a permanent dimensional variance based on non-specific equipment. Even the Badu stream information does not establish an 8-foot structure. The lower height requirements have not been analyzed. We could spread this equipment out. We could have a lift-up ceiling contraption. There's other ways to do this. There's portable jet systems we could use. Yes, we all have a coastal environment concern, but that talks about enclosure. It doesn't have anything to do with the height. And there's no site-specific necessity for this. It does not, the lot doesn't identify a unique physical characteristic of the applicant's property that requires a requested height variance. It doesn't identify a site-specific circumstance requiring 8-foot structure. The justification primarily concerns the characteristics of the proposed pool system and the applicant's desired structure. The fact that a particular equipment configuration is preferred does not by itself demonstrate the property cannot reasonably comply with the 4-foot height requirement. So the engineering report does not establish that a 9-foot, 7-inch ridge or even an 8-foot interior ceiling is required by the Florida Building Code, the Florida Mechanical Code, NEC, or the Badu Stream manufacturer's installation requirements. The report states several major pieces of equipment have not been identified and final configuration will be developed after approval. The board can't grant permanent variance based on an equipment configuration that remains unknown. Please do not approve this because the proposed design is convenient or preferred or compatible with the house when a 4-foot structure will accomplish the same purpose. The evidence presently provided does not establish the requested height is a minimum necessary or that it's justified. We have to go back to, we only want to give what's minimum necessary. A pool is a luxury. It's not a requirement to live happily. The neighborhood is not saying that Mr. Royer cannot have his pool pump. We all think that's great. It's already been passed. What we don't want is what's going to happen to our neighborhood if we have a 8-foot structure on a corner lot that disrupts a whole community. I know of 10 home sites that oppose this. They've either come to the meeting and spoken, they've written letters, and until tonight, there was no one that was for this. No other neighbors are for this.
Thank you, ma'am.
Thank you.
Anyone else like to come forward and speak? Please identify yourself on the microphone. Is there a way to get that overhead on these screens? That's not. Yeah, I'm looking, I'm looking underneath it.
That one's pulled up.
There we go.
Oh, perfect. Thank you so much.
Great. Dan O'Connell, 7 Mockingbird Lane. I'm also speaking on behalf of Dawn Harris, 5 Cardinal Lane. Oh, 3 Cardinal Lane, excuse me. It all comes down to the Land Development Code standard. Mr. Royer is asking for more than minimum relief. At the April meeting, Mr. Royer stated he could reduce the height of the pump house. That statement alone is proof that what he's asking for is a minimum relief. His equipment layout sketch, which you see, shows lots of excess space. I'd guess 50% or more of the space is vacant. A smaller size footprint would allow the shift away from the street side property line, a big improvement to all the neighbors. As you know, for 20 months, the board members have used their expertise, research, and personal experience to offer workable alternatives. Readily available construction methods and materials can shift the pool house away from the west property line and provide a functional pump enclosure. Mr. Royer could have modified his plan in any of the ways the boards have suggested. Interesting tonight, he never commented on the last April meeting when he promised to go back and evaluate flipping it to the rear. I wonder what happened or if he ever intended. He simply is unwilling to be flexible and use viable alternatives. In your packet tonight, page 237, the Ortiz pool email had at one time when indicated a significant change. It was a link to the Badoo turbo pumps. And I think this goes to what Mr. Conner was asking about. Those turbo pumps are enclosed in a below-ground vault, eliminating the need for a pump house. If we had known about those earlier, we could have saved all of us a lot of time. Additionally, the Ortiz website provides links to alternative cartridge filters. One, they have the filters housed in a corrosion-proof tank for all-weather durability. It is made to be outside in the elements. And interesting, the specs also include on that one, the filter only needs a vertical clearance of 18 inches. Now, Mr. Royer waited until today to submit the engineering report. He exploited the 4-month continuance period you granted and circumvented the review process. Got lots of questions. Did the engineer consider alternative locations, alternative equipment configurations, spread out more maybe, alternate enclosure materials, or even the use of this Badoo turbojet system that is housed in vaults? Or did the engineer only consider exactly what Mr. Royer told him he wanted and thus wrote a report that reflected that? The board asked for specific information on the heat load when the question of the height was. No specific information has been provided. No heat load calculations were performed. Does the engineer state that this is the minimum size enclosure that could work for this project? Absolutely not. He simply just rubber stamped Mr. Royer's wants. Mr. Royer could say, yep, I'm going to stick with the original Badoo pumps we talked about. And after his variances are granted, he could switch to the turbojet pumps and put them in a vault. Then he will have a large pool house, 32 inches from the west property line along Mockingbird. Had he proceeded after the February 2025 variances, Mr. Royer could be swimming in his pool tonight instead of asking for more than minimal relief. Please uphold the LDC standard. A variance, if granted, shall be the minimum relief necessary to alleviate the hardship. I respectfully ask that you vote to deny this variance request tonight. Thank you.
Thank you, sir. Would anyone else like to speak? I see. Come forward, please. You have 3 minutes.
Jackie O'Connell. I'm speaking tonight on behalf of Ms. Nancy Walls, 7 Pelican Lane, and the Hoyt family, 5 Mockingbird Lane. That's the property directly behind 3 Pelican. After the April meeting, we had hoped that we'd finally have a solution, a workable solution for all. Disappointing that we're still here today and there was no change. It is important to note that all property owners on or abutting Mockingbird are opposed to this variance. Their voices and emails contain thorough and reasoned support for that. I'm going to emphasize 3 points. Substantial, competent evidence. You asked for it over a year ago. The public provided it over a year ago. The manufacturer's installation data, manufacturer photos of the compact pumps, Flagler's property appraiser building data for 3 Pelican. That data was all independently sourced. And let me remind you that just now, Mr. Royer said, the manufacturer has indeed stated there is no need to enclose any of their pumps. We didn't have to pay someone to say what we wanted him to say. The data we provided shows that all the pool equipment can be housed in a smaller and a shorter space. The entire footprint of the house, including the back corner of the house, is block. It's all block. It is not wood. It took you entirely 1 month to approve variances for the pool deck, and the pump house. The fact that this hearing is still going on 19 months later proves that this is not a reasonable request, nor is it a hardship request. That is obvious evidence, prima facie evidence. Mr. Royer wants a pool house, supposedly for his specialty pumps. And that's the point that really seems to have been lost in recent discussions. These are specialty pumps. They are a want. As Chair Langelo has stated repeatedly, wants do not qualify for minimum variance relief. Mr. Royer said that there are jet pumps used in triathlete training. So please let that sink in for a minute. He's asking for a permanent variance to accommodate a whim for triathlete equipment. Last year, you had a unanimous approval for a maximum height condition of 4 feet. In April, 3 of you voted to entirely remove that condition. If today's variances are approved as they have been requested, Mr. Royer or any subsequent owner can place a large 12-foot high pool house within 32 inches of the property line. That would be a horrible, horrible precedent for our neighborhood and would forever change the character of our neighborhood. Remember, this is a corner lot just off the main street and the main entrance to our area. In April, a board member said the request is, and I quote, squeezing the envelope a little too much. Squeezing the envelope a little too much? He's asking to protrude 8 feet over the wall height. That's an unsightly feature for our neighborhood, just for a pool house. This Pelican property is an average size for our neighborhood. The lot itself is not creating a hardship. Mr. Royer is creating a hardship. He wants a pool house almost as large as the pool itself. It would stick out from the front of his home. It covers almost 2/3 of the front-facing side yard. So as you pull into our neighborhood, 2/3 of the front-facing side yard of his house is going to be obscured by this pump house. It would certainly create a zero lot line property. And that's why the 4-foot height condition is very important to us. It keeps the front-facing wall in conformity with the code. It's visually appealing, and it conforms with our covenants. Whether you have to enforce them or not, I understand you don't enforce them, but you do consider the character of our neighborhood, and that's important. That's why our covenants direct how our neighborhood is supposed to look. And yet, with all these conditions, it still provides many viable options for Mr. Royer to get his pumps. When purchasing our homes in the neighborhood, we expected the code to be upheld. All the variance criteria must be met. In this case, none of them have been met. Mr. Royer wants variances to house overly powerful exercise pumps and pool chairs. The neighborhood wants to permanently retain its character, so please deny the request. And I have a postscript, so sorry. My quick read of the engineer's report is that it is a very nicely written report. However, it provides absolutely nothing in the way of substantial evidence. It just echoes Mr. Royer's wants. It does acknowledge that this is, and I quote, not conventional residential pool equipment. But there's no hardship here. This is over and above what would be normally required or expected in a neighborhood.
Thank you, ma'am.
Is that my 5 minutes? Please deny the request.
Thank you very much. Would anyone else like to speak on this item? Please step forward now. Seeing none come forward, I close public comment. Mr. Roy, you do have a rebuttal?
Mr. Raymond Royer, Painters Hill. All right, so if I could get the visual up again. While that's warming up, let's talk about some of that stuff. So we had a letter again. I submitted a letter. I never talked about the structure up the street that that built a housing right by the pool. I never talked in my letter. I could show you the front page of the letter. I never said about it being a pump house. I just was saying, wow, that seems to be higher than 12 feet. Okay, that's less than a mile from my house, closer to your house. So that being said, that also that applicant came in for a fence variance. The property was higher, and I asked you to approve it, and you approved the fence for him. Yeah, that's a nice accommodation. I guess they're going to have cocktails in there. You know, it's more of a cocktail pool. You know, they're going to have some, you know, parties in there, watch TV, stay in the AC. So just one example. That structure is right on the other side of the neighbor's fence line, less than 300 feet from my property. That's a two-story garage. The house itself has a two-car garage. Okay, they got their wants, they got their needs. Okay, less than 200 feet. Structure on Coastal Highway has a garage right in front of the house, right in front of the house. Now, there's a new construction building going in front of it, so obviously they built that garage to their 25 feet setback. I'm not sure if that's what it is on Coastal Road, but according to the new property, it's even with the garage out front. So their original house was set back further, just like mine was 27. So my pool is now going to be at 25 from the front. I was granted all the setbacks to the side. Again, wish Lewis could make it tonight, but he had an emergency. He had, unfortunately, a pipe break under his foundation, so he had to take care of that. But he did tell me in the report that we probably could go as low as, to accommodate all the manufactured equipment. And we talked about the manufactured equipment. So minimum, I'm going to have a heat pump, about the 180 to 200 plus BTU would be the minimum for the I think it's 43,000 gallons of pool water for the exchange. The minimum 3 times a day would be an 8-hour time clock to circulate that water. So a pump requirement minimum would have to be about 2.5 horse motor. Okay, now 2.5, 3, 2, those pumps vary. Okay, so again, that's why I didn't throw manufacturing, because right now I've got so much money spent to try to get this structure proved that, again, Lewis could not find any code saying where the 4 feet's coming from. Yes, the manufacturer says I don't need a building, but like Chris said, they also don't deny having a building. Just like when you buy a BMW car, the manufacturer doesn't say you need to put it in a garage. It doesn't say anything like that. It doesn't tell you how to maintain the car. You know, clean it, you know, maintain it, put oil in it. So manufacturer says a lot of things, because they also have to defend, as Timmy would say, liability. They have a lot of liability. So they say a lot of things because they want to cover their bases. So I'm doing my liability part. I think again, the renderings were fine. I think it changed votes. I mean, when I originally came in here, I had 7 no's. When I submitted those renderings, 4 of you voted yes. If I'm going to have 7 of you members here tonight, I would probably win tonight. But unfortunately, it looks like another tie. So looking at the members, just from past practice, how you voted, it's another tie. There's 1 member missing. So I've done everything I've done. I'm hoping I satisfied Timmy's remark that he made at the last meeting. He's looking, notice our professionals. I gave you a professional report, and that's it. That's all I have to say. I forwarded this to my attorney, and I have discovery ready to go and move forward. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Royer. Does anyone have any questions for Mr. Royer on his rebuttal? Hearing none. Thank you, sir.
Thank you.
Okay, now I close the rebuttal period and open it up to board discussion. Go ahead, Mike.
Am I on? Yeah?
There you go.
Right, there we go. What's the fence height requirement along that back property line? If he ran a privacy fence across the back of his property, what's the fence height there?
On the rear property line, it's 6 feet.
Okay. And now that even includes if he comes all the way to the corner, that's kind of technically a side yard and all that, right? With that road right there, it kind of makes that a side yard, but that 8 feet should come all the way to that corner.
The 6 feet.
Or 6 feet, I'm sorry. Should come all the way to that corner.
He's saying on the back line, the fence, it will be 6 feet across the entire back.
Okay, okay.
Yes.
All right, thank you.
Any other? Hannah, we had somebody in the public send a whole images, a whole bunch of images of smaller pump enclosures. Can you pull that up?
We did, I believe it was Mr. O'Connell. Simone is connected. Oh, I'm sorry. Simone is connected to the screen. I think she might be able to swing that.
Yeah, just a second.
That'll be on our screen, right? Well, while you're digging that up, Simone, so I, like everyone, hopefully on this board, was able to, at the last minute, get this report. And as it was stated by Chuck, who has, a lot of experience as he testified, what his background, and it, for people in the audience, is also myself as a GC. There was nothing in that report that addressed what our concern was, which was trying to maintain a minimal a variance for this. We had given many variances on this application, if you remember. And one of the things we were looking at was to at least maintain that height in the front so it wouldn't be a big obstruction in the front yard. And I don't know if she got those up yet, but I had mentioned because I've built some of these things in the past, you can open the top up, open the sides up, various ways to do that, and put an awful lot of pumping in there. And for the life of me, I don't understand I want heat, but I want to get rid of the heat. You can vent with heat. It's a very inexpensive little device that once you get to a certain heat, you can vent things out. I asked about the gases because I wasn't familiar with any type of explosive gas, but chlorine, I guess, if it was built up enough. But yeah, there we go. There's structures. There's an awful lot of ways, and anything on the sides, the back, anywhere you can vent these things and eliminate all that issue. So my point was, I think we've heard an awful lot about the neighborhood, and we hear each variance is on their own. if this property was out on the west side of the county where there's a lot of room and less expectations because neighbors aren't so close, I think, perhaps this would be more favorable. But because it is in a more densely packed community, you do have to look more about how these things do affect the neighborhood. And, there's obviously, by the volume of emails alone, plus the public comments, that the neighborhood would, they've gone, they weren't crazy about all the variances, but they lived with it and they've accepted and let Mr. Royer have a swimming pool, and he can still have a swimming pool. He should have built this a long time ago, as one of the neighbors said. But the large structure is not warranted by any of the substantial testimony, in my opinion. And being a GC, these structures that I see in front of me and several more that I can think of would accommodate his needs, far less more money, give him more of a pool deck. Also, I kept offering the option of building alongside the building. Why don't you just go against the house itself, go in the backyard, put it right against the house? That option is not, as was one of the public spoke, that option was not exhausted, not at all. It just seems to be the desire of the applicant to do this, and he has every right to ask for it. And according to our code, he has every right to come back. I just feel, also sorry for the neighbors that keep expressing their interest in this, and how many times do you keep chipping at this, hoping to find a hole so you can get it, you know what I mean? But at this point tonight, again, we have an even number of board members, so we do need to get a vote up or down one way or the other, hopefully.
With all due respect, Mark, I don't think we as a board need to begin designing these projects. Every project we look at, as an engineer, I see 100 different ways to do it better, different, more effectively. We need to look at what they're proposing right now. He's proposing what he wants. Then we need to see if it's going to be compatible and review it from that perspective. Maybe I'm way wrong. But that's the way I'm looking at it.
Well, the question was, is it the minimal amount needed? I'm sorry, Mike, go ahead.
Yeah, looking at this thing on the screen right here, I don't find any of them, they might be adequate, but none of them are attractive. Two or three of them look like dumpsters. I wouldn't have any of those around my pool. And my 2 cents on this is this. The pump house that he is proposing, if you look at the drawing of it, it's attractive. And I don't see how anyone in the neighborhood could be adversely affected by that pump house. The engineering report was mentioned, and you can look at that engineering report and go through it and pick out anything you want to that would justify your side of this issue. But the part that I picked out to justify my side of the issue was the part that said the dimensions are reasonable and appropriate for the function. And the bottom line for me is that while there are some neighbors who are opposed to this for whatever reason, I just don't understand how it can adversely affect anyone. And for that reason, I'm going to make a motion to approve it.
Okay, Mike, we have a motion on the floor. Do we have a second?
I'll second that motion.
We have a second. Okay, we'll open that up for discussion because we have a motion on the floor. Mike, I think the question I posed to you, and Mr. Carl, is that house the only option? And first of all, the complaint was not that the building was ugly. It was so close. It's tall and close to the street. Where again, I had proposed to him several times to go along that building and build it along the house itself, which would afford him a lot of advantages to the whole process. But that's not what he appears to want. But again, this is an issue of how do you get to the minimal requirement, and still, we've given a lot of variances. Do we just keep granting everything that the applicant wants, despite how it may or may not affect the other people in the neighborhood.
I understand your perspective.
I'm gonna let Mr. Connor speak because he was.
All right.
Thank you. I agree with a lot of what Mr. Boyd said, and I agree with a lot of what Mr. Wilcox said. Where I'm stuck is that I haven't heard anything new tonight. The engineering report that we've seen is uncorroborated. He didn't appear for us to question his conclusions and findings. We have a conflicting conclusions based on that report from our own staff, so clearly some examination of the engineer's conclusions is warranted. And so I don't find that report rises to the level of substantial competent evidence that would change the dynamics of what we've heard in the past. Similarly, the information that we got from the contractor's representative is that the pumps need to be level with the pool. The pool's underground. If the pool is underground and the pumps need to be level with the pool, then why not lower the pump house and accommodate that? Pumps pump up, pump down, but I don't know that lowering these pumps 4 feet into the ground to accommodate a higher ceiling for the Mr. Royer is at all unreasonable. I agree with Mr. Wilcox that it's not our job to engineer this for him. He can pick what he wants. What I'm suggesting is that there are alternatives to what he's asking for that would still meet the minimum variance requirement that we're required to give him, which we've already given him, which is 4 feet above ground, consistent with the fence height in the front of his yard that's in our code. And if he needs 8 feet, go down 4 feet. And now you've got 8 feet, and you can do whatever you want. And I think that that's particularly important at this juncture because, as has been indicated by the engineering report and others, we don't even have a final decision on what the equipment is going to be. So how can we be designing a building around equipment that we don't even know what the finality of that equipment is going to be yet, or designating engineering criteria accordingly? So I don't think there's been additional substantial competent evidence that would change the way to look at this. And then the argument, I agree with Mr. Langelo, the argument that, well, I want to release heat and fumes, but I want to trap heat, that seems to be too inconsistent to me to even be considered. If the idea is that we need to exhaust the building to get rid of fumes and heat, then you add some fans. If the idea is that we don't want that, we want a higher ceiling so that we can capture some of that but still vent the building safely at some level, go down 4 feet. I mean, there are other alternatives here than putting a 12-foot structure on a corner lot in violation of the setbacks. Remember, this isn't a situation where he's asking for a 12-foot building within the boundaries of his setback, like that picture he showed us, where that other structure was being built back against the woods within the boundary of the lot. He's asking for this at the corner in violation of all his existing setbacks. I don't find that convincing, and I think this should be denied.
Mr. Wilcox?
Looking at the layout that he has, when I look at it from my perspective as far as an engineer looking at the approach of vehicles, pedestrians, or whatever, it's been brought up before that they were concerned about the sight triangles and the visibilities. That's not going to be an issue at this point because of the approach velocities, the conflict speeds, as well as the actual visibility triangle that's available. That's not a reason to go through and consider this to be unsurmountable. Where he's at now is, I think, as far as he can go. He's pushed this thing as far to the east. I see him having done everything he can. Went through and got an engineer's opinion that, whether it's an opinion that we like or don't like, whether you accept it or not, the engineer said it's reasonable. It's reasonably what he needs, and I just kind of go in that way.
Thank you, Mr. By the way, I think the issue wasn't necessarily visibility for traffic. It was more of an aesthetic issue with that on the corner.
Just clarifying that.
Anthony?
So I like what Mr. Connor said in regards to the equipment. That's why I touched earlier in regards to what was going in there. Obviously, we don't know what exact equipment is going in, but we do know it's a heat pump. We do know it's a filter. We do know that there's the engineered, whatever it is that is making the flow of the pool for swimming purposes. Mr. Boyd makes it a huge point too, because I agree, these are not aesthetically pleasing at all. I would rather see what the applicant has demonstrated to us in his renderings. I think it does look aesthetically pleasing. I mean, and I understand the height that's needed to work on the equipment, because I said once before in our last meeting that, I work on my own pool and that equipment, and it's tough to get in there and work on it alone. So I understand the need for that. Can that structure be shrunk a little bit and still make it feasible? I think it probably could be. But from an aesthetic standpoint, I think the rendering that the applicant provided for us both times is aesthetically pleasing. I understand the concern of the neighbors, but I also understand the need to work on the equipment. And I also think, from a property value standpoint, it'd probably be better for what he proposed than having these shed-type established pieces of equipment and covering in there. So, I think we're going to be up against a split vote again tonight, unfortunately, because we have 6 people here. But that's just my 2 cents on this whole thing. I hate to see us have to do this again, but it looks like we're going to be.
Ms. Long?
Yeah, I want to touch on a few things. First, as Mr. Connor pointed out, Mr. Royer does have his minimum relief. He can build this pool today, and he can go forward with it. I don't think the height of this building I don't think it had much to do with the traffic, as Mr. Langelo said. I think this has a lot to do with the aesthetics that the neighbors are dealing with. And we limited this to 4 feet, not just on a whim. We did it to aesthetically match the fencing, and that is the code requirement in that area. So we didn't just decide on 4 feet. We wanted to keep it aesthetically appealing. These examples here, I agree with you. That exactly looks like where I would store my trash cans. But there are ways to build this. Mr. Langelo and I can tell you, we've done some amazing things together. There's ways you could build this to make it look aesthetically pleasing and still give all access that he needs to get to all the plumbing or to all the piping that's in there. Reasonable and appropriate, that's why I asked the question. It doesn't mean required, and that's what we're looking for in this situation. Is this what is required? Because again, we're trying to give him the minimum relief necessary to alleviate his hardship. I am concerned, I agree, Mr. Wilcox, we shouldn't be giving advice on how to rearrange this, but given this situation, I would have been really pleased if that was at least an option that was brought forward. It seems like that wasn't even a thought process for Mr. Royer. This is where he wants it, this is the height he wants it, and that's all that will be done about it. In previous meetings, it's been mentioned that privacy is an issue, and I'm now leaning more and more to that belief, personally, just me, that this has to be right here at that height because he can't have a 6-foot fence there. But this would give a lot of privacy to his pool. And of course, yes, a 10-foot tall, 12-foot wide building is definitely going to give privacy for his pool. If it has to be this high, again, I ask, why not at least humor us? At least humor us all this time that has been available to you. Show us in good faith that maybe I can move it here. Maybe I can move it to the back, which is why I asked what the fence height requirement was for the back of the property line. At 6 feet, we could easily move this to the back and easily grant a variance that would say, sure, you can do a 9-foot building at the back. I mean, almost literally flip it 180. But again, we're not here to help with the design. We're here to give you the minimum relief necessary to alleviate your hardship. Mr. Royer, I don't want to seem like I'm just constantly against you on having this pump house, but I believe we've given you that. I would be willing to maybe go further and allow the increased, have we given this increased footprint size? Or if we, I guess my question would be, the variance he's asking for here, does this variance increase the footprint from our original variance? And if so, I would be willing to go that increased footprint, but I'm still going to be hard pressed at 4 feet high for that, unless you would like to entertain possibly moving it somewhere on that floor plan. And guys, that's all I've got on it, yeah.
Thank you, Mr. Long. Anyone else have any comment?
I just one more comment. I thought that when we did the continuance of this meeting, it was so that the structure would be relocated. Wasn't that the consensus
I
of the
remember
board
that
at the
kind of
time?
being the thought process.
I do remember that as well.
So can we get Mr. Royer, can we call him back up to ask him why he
Sure we
didn't
can.
do that?
Mr. Roy, do you mind coming up? No, he doesn't mind.
Yeah, that was mentioned, but you also got to remember, we entertained this before. We're going 360, okay, and now we're going to go 360 again. It cannot be to the back of the house.
No, but what I want you to answer is why can't you put the building in the corner in the back next to your house? What was originally you had told us it was because there was plywood in the wall or something to that effect.
There was plywood, and then of course there was a motion made by one of the members that I could tear that whole structure down and put a block.
Well, and we had heard other opinions that would not be required to relocate to that position. So if that's not true, if you don't have to tear your house down to do it, are you opposed to putting the building back there?
No, so I looked at it, okay? So my understanding from the discussion, if I choose to take it to the rear of the building, I would have to meet the new setbacks to the rear, which would be 10 feet. My house is 6 feet. And it was also mentioned if my house ever gets destroyed 50% or more, my house would have to move to that 10-foot line. Also, if you look at the drawings, that 10-foot structure, if it wasn't not attached to the building, let's just say we have it in the middle.
If we were willing to give you that variance, would you be willing to consider moving the building to the back?
The problem, this is the problem we have, okay? So where my power is coming from, I'd have to change the whole power because my power is on the right side of the house, facing facing east.
No?
And then I have my water actually on that side coming out because I have a water main already there to that point, because when I had to dig up my yard for my manifold and everything, I actually extended the water out to that later because I thought
those are reasons that you don't want to do it. But
No,
the question
listen,
is, would you be willing to look at that?
I could come down to height, but you got to remember, gentlemen, the TRC told me I could go to 12 feet high. I came down to 10 feet. I already came down 2. Okay, you just came out of nowhere and said 4 feet. Okay,
Yeah, I'm not talking about the height of the building right
But
now. I'm
I'm
talking
just- I'm
about
just-
whether you're willing to put it in the back.
I'd like to put it in the back, but right now, feasible-wise, it wouldn't, aesthetic to me, would not look appropriate. I looked at it. I did it. I did a thing, and
Okay,
it's not.
so-
It's not appeasing, and I think my property value would go down. It would look like an eyesore to change that whole structure. It gives me the privacy I need and everything to be out front. I can come down a little bit. I would go by his recommendations. Maybe come down to the 9.3 is the max I could go down.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you very much, Mr. Roy.
Relocate this to the back would be another application and hearing, would it not? I'm asking, sir. Pardon?
If the applicant and the board agreed to it, it would not have to come back as an
Okay, in spite of
application.
public hearing, all that stuff, we're good.
Correct.
Chair, can I, real quick to follow up on that question I had earlier, the original variance that we granted him that he has now, what is the footprint size on that? Is it the 12, what is this, 12.8 by 7.6?
It was slightly smaller. Hannah, if you could skip over the options to the board. I don't remember the exact dimensions from the last application, but with this one, you are increasing the lot coverage by an additional 1.2%. I believe, so it's increasing
The
that much.
impervious level as well. Right.
This clicker's not clicking.
Okay. Do we have any other questions or any other discussion? I just had one other thing to say. Twice I heard the aspect of property values, one by the applicant and one by you, Anthony. I think, first of all, a variance is not here to increase his property value. So I don't think we're trying to enhance his property value. I also don't believe that if you put the pump house on the back of the property, it would decrease his value. But, go ahead.
I personally think, you know, if I'm not opposed to it being in the back of the property. I think it would be perfectly fine back there. I'm highly open to approving that. Gives them the space still, gives them the size, gives them the structure, just moves it to the back.
Right.
Perfectly fine with that. I think aesthetically, though, the way he has that designed, that the building itself aesthetically is a lot more appealing than the sheds that were displayed to us earlier.
The sheds were the concept of you don't need to have the height to protect it.
I
But the
understand.
sheds can be built in very aesthetic manners. You know, that was just somebody
understand.
showing that there's concepts to it. But yeah, the idea tonight was to get more information so we could try to, wrap up this variance. That's what we're trying to do tonight. And the thing I'm stuck on, and again, I can be very liberal on a lot of these variances, but like I said, I'm concerned about, this is not the aesthetics looking bad because it's an ugly looking building. It's that it is right up on the corner of the property. And while there's a street there, I get that. It changes the character of the neighborhood. It does. And that's why we tried to lower it and make it look more like the houses were designed to look in that neighborhood instead of some of the tight communities that, you yourself don't like when they get these 50 and 40-foot lots and everybody's crammed right in there. That's what this is creating, is that look of a neighborhood. And, to the extent that the code is trying to prohibit that, we need to give him the minimal relief so he can still enjoy his pool and still enjoy his life. I don't think anyone wants to deny him that. So we're trying to find a way to get there without just, in effect, giving away the farm and saying, whatever you want, if it makes your property look better, then just go ahead, let's just come in and get it. And I think we sort of keep getting back to that, where this is not the minimal. Other options don't seem to be considered. It was just the this way or the highway type of a thing.
Mm-hmm.
And because we have a tie vote, we had a 4-member and now a 6-member and a 6-member before, we keep running into this. So we do need to come to some conclusion tonight. Anyone else have any comments? I think we're all talked out. Anthony?
I mean, so can we make a recommendation in regards to the way the structure's designed now, that we'd be willing to approve it if it was redesigned and pushed to the rear of the property instead of the front?
Maybe Sarah can help us with this. Maybe what you're asking is if he could continue it one more time to a date certain with a new proposal that shows this design in a different location that we're talking about, that would not, be the same that is, showing today. It's more in the back as we talked about. That would be a way of doing it. I don't think we can approve a concept without,
I guess I misunderstood then from Mr. Wilcox's question in regards. No, he asked if we had to bring this back if we were to move it to the rear of the property. Is that not the case?
If you can fully address all of the issues in a motion, it does not need to come back. You can make the motion tonight and approve it.
yeah, if you can design it in a motion.
Let me see you write that motion up.
We have a motion on the floor, though, that needs to be
I
disposed of. before we do that.
understand. Yeah. no.
I think what Sarah said was if we can get consensus not only amongst the board, but also with Mr. Royer, because there's no good reason to continue this again for another expected site plan change if the
Right.
applicant's not willing to engage in that. And
Bill, we've done that
he
a
said
couple
pretty clearly, I don't want to do it in the back. I don't want to mess with my electrical. I don't want to mess with my plumbing. I don't want to mess with the corner of my house. I don't want to put it there. So I don't think we have his consensus for moving in that direction right now. But I'm with you. I'm willing to try.
I'm at the point where I'm really not. I think that we would just be right back here in 4 months, probably looking at the same exact plan, because that's been the history in this. I don't think this is the first time we've kind of hoped to see this plan come differently. In fact, I believe the last time I think we hoped to see it come a little differently and arrange it just came back with a bigger footprint, and it had pretty pictures this time. So we've tried, I believe, twice now. I could be wrong, but I think we've tried twice to see about having some adjustment on this, but there just seems no desire on the other end to do that.
Yeah, unfortunately, I share your pessimism.
Yep.
I do want to clarify for the board that our code does state that you can continue an item only once, and you have done that already, so the option
Okay,
to
so we
continue
will
was
not
not
be
on
able
the
to
table.
continue. So this, tonight, he would have to either approve or denied and then reapply in 6 months.
So even if
That
we
what
had,
it-
a-
is that
even
what
if
it
we had
is?
a tied vote, then,
As a denial.
but that,
So to address Mr. Langelo's question, there isn't a timing period on a reapplication.
Oh, I thought it was 6 months, okay.
That's for rezonings only. We don't have that language for variances technically.
Okay.
And then as for the split votes, if we need a decision tonight, or we're not going home. So you have to either convince or sway your other board members or come to some other kind of compromise,
arm
whether
wrestle?
that be
Can
another type of condition imposed on the variance, but we do need a decision tonight.
Okay. Thank you.
We call the vote
Yeah.
just to see where we stand.
Well, we're going to, I mean, if we finish this discussion, we do have to call for a vote, and then go from there. Does anyone else have any other comment, suggestion, arm twisting? Hearing none?
I mean,
Anna?
I would just, I mean, I think, as much as I believe the applicant's expressed his desire not to put the structure in the rear of the property, I think it's possibly a suggestion from the board to reconsider that and bring it to us that way. Because, I mean, once again, I mean, to echo Ron and others and Mr. Connor, there was no redesign brought to us. That was, I think, the expectation that we had previously from our past application.
If I can make a suggestion, if that's the direction that you're going in, then I would recommend that you do go forward with the motion for denial, especially since there is not a reapplication period. He can turn around and reapply.
That's what I was
immediately.
going to say, then a denial.
No.
Yeah, there's a motion for approval right now.
Yeah.
I'm sorry, I meant a motion for denial.
Well, that's what I was going to say. If this is denied, then he can redo his plan and bring it back to us again. Well, I mean, how many times have we already been here? Yeah.
Till
We'll get Mr. Rory a cot in the
To
back
do
and
that,
we can.
would have to not approve the motion on the
Yeah,
floor and then do another motion for denial.
Yes, that's correct.
Okay.
Can say that one more time. So what we're gonna,
We have a motion unless the applicant wants, the motion maker wants to rescind it, which I know he doesn't.
Okay.
Then we will take a vote on this motion as soon as everyone has done with their
and
discussion.
if the vote, and if it doesn't pass.
If it doesn't pass, then he's free to come back again with another application, and hopefully by hearing, what people are saying, he might come back with an
Well,
application.
first,
that,
if the motion to approve does not pass, we need a motion to deny that you vote on. And then if the motion to deny is approved, Mr. Royer can come back with a new application.
Okay,
Gotcha.
we're adding another step, because if a motion does not pass, then a motion does not pass. I
Right,
don't-
why are we doing it, why do we have to do it again?
Yeah,
Because if a motion fails, you haven't made a decision. if it's a tie vote.
Well,
So the motion fails, but it's not a vote up or down.
Okay. Okay. We'll go,
So we're going to do a motion to approve,
So,
Okay.
then we're going to do a motion to deny.
Right, that's what might happen. We still
But
haven't,
might-
we still haven't
might-
polled this
Yeah,
board
that's
yet,
true.
so.
That's true.
So, do you have anything else?
Does the applicant want to come back up and just,
Go ahead.
I mean, just
I mean,
give him
we-
we've
Mr.
discussed,
Roy-
he's
Mr.
listened.
Royer, I want to limit this, I'm going to limit this to his question.
Right.
Only, I don't want to relitigate the thing
Right.
all over again. It isn't fair to the
We're
public.
really
They
trying to
have-
give you your structure, I'm trying to give you your height, trying to give you space. But it seems like the roadblock that we're running into is where it's located. And we just might have to have a come to Jesus moment. You're not going to get it there.
The question that he's asking you is,
Jesus moment?
will, as much as probably that you don't want to do it, to give you your height, to give you your space, would you highly consider moving that structure to the rear of the property? We're trying to give you the space and
Maybe
the structure
should
that
be
you
will
need.
The neighbors stop fighting it if he does that.
Correct.
I'm going to leave it, I'm going to leave it like this.
they don't
Leaving
have
it
the option
so
to come up
vague
here
for
and
me
say
to make a
no.
decision,
I know.
because like I mentioned earlier, do I have to put it 10 feet for the setback? Because the new rule does say it has to be 10 feet for a setback. If it's structured even with the back of the house, I'd be more doable to do that. But the problem is now you're changing the whole setback and again, I'm meeting the setback out front legally. Okay, so I don't know why we're going around. Like I said, if there were 7 members here tonight, this would be approved. I don't know why the knowers would not budge at all. I would rather see is just give me 2 ties again, and then I'll take it to the county, and then I'm going to do what I need to do. I'll litigate it, and I have my discovery already made, and we'll go from there. So to honor me as the applicant, I always came in here as good faith. Please honor me, all right? I always came in here in good faith. Always.
Can I ask you a question
Okay?
quick?
Thank you.
He stated that he does meet the setback off Pelican Lane. Is that correct for the 25 on the front?
Yes, he does meet the front
And we're
setback.
here because we're considering this side yard on the west side of his to be a front also. Is that correct?
To be the side setback that he's not meeting.
The side setback on the
On
west side, the
yes.
unnamed street where that is, but he's meeting the Pelican Lane setback.
Correct.
So he's taking care of that safety issue again that I was talking about, the visibility side triangles and all that. So that's not the concern. The concern is on the west side.
And the lot coverage.
Well, again, it's height. We match this to the fence.
Do what?
Again, it has to do with the height. We match this to the fence. That's really what it's not about the setback in the front. It's not about the setback on the side. We're matching the fence height
I
on
just
the
wanted to
front.
clarify that.
Yeah.
That
No,
was
that's
the question I had. So it's a simple, I guess the west side we're focusing on, not the Pelican Lane part. Just bringing that up, bringing it back down to everyone's perspective.
Anybody else?
So it sounds like the applicant just wants us to go ahead and tie, and we're done and let him litigate.
Well, we will not leave it at a tie.
Can't
one way
leave
or
it
the other.
tie, yeah.
We
Oh,
will
we
not.
can't leave that at a time.
We cannot.
Yeah, we got to figure this out, right?
We have to.
Right,
So-
right.
If you'll recall, that's why it came back to
Right,
you
right,
from.
yes.
All right, we're getting the call to order here to bring this back to a vote at this point, because it's an hour into this item.
Yep.
So,
So-
Hannah, would you please call the vote?
I would. The current motion on the floor was made by Mr. Boyd and seconded by Mr. Wilcox to approve. Anthony Lombardo,
Yeah.
Dan Wilcox,
Yes.
Ron Long,
Nay.
Timothy Connor,
Nay.
Michael Boyd,
Yes.
and Mark Langella.
Nay.
The motion has tied 3-3.
Okay.
Chair, I'd like to make a motion to deny the application. Where's the number at? Sorry.
We don't need that. We know.
Okay, I make a motion to deny the application as stands.
Okay, do we have a
Again,
sec? Do we have a
If you
second?
could also
You
call
wanna have
out
a
the
reason?
criteria not met.
Oh, okay. Because he currently has a variance that allows him to meet the necessary relief to alleviate his hardship, and the additional height on this building has not been given substantial competent evidence that is absolutely required.
Where's the minimal amount?
I'm sorry?
Is the minimal amount required?
Yeah, well, he's been given the minimum amount required to alleviate his hardship. However, this motion, the information brought forward doesn't give us substantial evidence that he has met the, oh geez, it's been a long night already. Does not meet the requirements to alleviate the hardship, to allow a variance to alleviate the hardship.
Second.
Okay. Do we have any other discussion?
I think I'm opposed to that perspective that he hasn't given. I think he's given enough evidence to us over and over and over again. I don't see a reason why we have to relitigate this over and over and over again. In my mind, it's pretty clear. It's either or not. And so I think the evidence has been brought into us significantly enough on several occasions to validate what he's asking for. I don't think a dumpster on the side of the yard is what anyone's looking for as far as what was presented to us as little hatch cutters. I agree, you can paint a pig any color you want to, but it's still at the end of the day gonna be a pig. And I think that's what we're doing. We're trying to avoid that for the neighborhood to give Mr. Roy what he's looking for. I think he's shown over again that he's willing to put in a substantial structure that has aesthetic value for the neighborhood. Does it overstep the minimum sideline? Yes, that's why he's here. But I think he's done a good job presenting that to us.
Well, I think in that scenario, we're saying because it's pretty, he can do it. I mean, but, and there again,
their
you know,
argument
the
neighbor's
does that
argument is that
meet
it's
the
ugly, they
requirement?
don't want it. So that's
Is
the
that,
argument.
is that the substantial evidence that that building has to be 8 foot tall because it looks pretty?
Well, the neighbor's arguing they don't like it because it's ugly. That's
No,
their
well,
argument.
it has, that's not part of my decision either way. My decision is there's a 4-foot fence height requirement in the front of the house, and that's where we landed. And that's, originally, that's why we set that in the first place.
I think that space is needed, though, to actually work on the equipment, in my opinion.
You know, you can make, and that's why, again, I go back to the fact that I don't understand why this building has to be sitting right in this exact spot on this piece of property, because this is the golden square. I don't know.
I agree, but he's already shared with us that his electrical, his plumbing, and everything else requires it to be sited real close to there, if not on that exact golden
Yeah,
square.
but we know you can take electrical anywhere you want. We know this.
Dan, I mean,
We know this, yeah.
you and I both
right.
know
Yeah, I know. We
that's,
can take
that's
electrical
really
where we
not.
want to,
That,
but
that was more of
is it
an,
prohibited?
as like someone said, an excuse.
Yeah, that's a
not to do
personal
it.
preference as opposed to, and
It's-
that's what this all keeps
valid
coming around with this
consideration,
all.
in my
If there was no other place to do this, and he needed to do this, I don't think there'd be any negative votes on the
I
board.
don't doubt that. I don't doubt
And I
it. But
just think that what we're up against is did he ask for the minimal amount that he needed to get what he needed? Instead, he actually came back with even a bigger plan. And so we're just going, we're not going for the minimal here. We're going, again, for whatever the desire was. And you know, like Ron said, I liked what he said. If it's pretty, we pass it. I don't know if that's necessarily.
that's what it's been arguing. That's my
Yeah,
perspective.
well,
That's kind of lame.
it's that
but
the massing of the structure is across the whole front, and that changes the character. That's what that is. It isn't that the structure was looking ugly by the nature of it. It was that the massing and this giant structure up to the sidelines.
It's 2 sheets of plywood.
Yeah,
Eight by 12. It's not real big.
I don't disagree with what Mr. Wilcox or Mr. Boyd are saying. I agree with them wholeheartedly. You own a piece of land, you ought to be able to do what you want on it. The difference is that I live in the woods on acreage, and Mr. Wilcox lives in the woods on acreage, and Mr. Boyd lives out on the west side on acreage. This gentleman has bought a postage stamp lot so he can be close to the beach. You just can't do everything you want to do on that size lot. And I think that's the point here.
You're right.
And again, I can respect that, but I understand that he can't do everything he wants on this lot. But again, why this exact 12 by 9 foot piece of property? This is the only square on this land that building can go. That's the part that flabbergasts me, because again, we put this in because it violates the height requirement for the fence on the front of the property. Has nothing to do with aesthetics, has nothing to do with the neighbors' complaints, has nothing to do with the visualizations from
Yes.
turning for cars or anything.
This is before us because he has a lot that is 1,500 square feet under the size of the standard that was dedicated back in 1959. This is not his fault that he's here before us. So it's not his.
But he knew this before, I mean,
Working. I
buyer
understand.
beware, and, you know,
You got a
Of course,
survey
there's a
when you
caveat
bought
emptor,
it.
but
Yeah.
now he's come to a point in his life where he's saying, hey, I want to build a, whether it's a Ironman competition pool or whatever, he wants to be able to do that. If he did not have this undersized lot, he would not be before us right now. He'd be building what he wants to. So he's coming before us because he has this restriction, this constraint that's out of his control. And I just don't think that we're in the business of redesigning someone's site. That's what I'm backing away from. I'm not comfortable as an engineer having every project before me being redesigned by me, because every one I've seen, with the exception of maybe one or two that I did myself, I would have redesigned. That's just the way I am. I see better ways to do it, just like you're seeing. There are better ways. Is it the best way? That's another person's perspective. We're looking at this from the concept that this is what we're given. These are the bag of goods we've been given. How are we going to resolve where this is at? And they're asking to be Solomon-esque, and I don't think we're in a position to start designing stuff. That's just my perspective.
Well, yeah, and I want to I'm not trying to say to redesign his pump house or anything like that. But again, if he doesn't, we've given this variance to him, and we restricted it at 4 feet to match that front fence line, to give the neighborhood a nice aesthetic look, to look like everything else, because of course, that's already in there. We're just meeting a code that's already in there. But we are giving him his pump house. We are giving him the ability to build the pool and do it how he wants. And we've given him multiple other variances to build all this. If you want this building at 12 feet, then maybe, or 10 feet high, maybe you need to put it somewhere else. But you've got what you need. You've got what you can build this tomorrow and be swimming in 6-8 months or whatever. But you can do that right away. You can start. But if you want that building to be 10 foot high, that's where now you're going to have to work with us. You're going to have to figure a way to make it work within us, because we've worked with you already. We've given you, and we've even mentioned that, come to us. You mentioned, I'm already at my 10-foot setback over here. Then come to us and we'll work through all that. We're not going to decide all that tonight, but bring that proposal to us, and then maybe we'll give some more variations on stuff that we've already given him, on top of the ones we've already given him, to meet what he needs to put it in a place that fits for everybody and maintains the 3-foot height along that front, or I'm sorry, 4-foot height along that front fence line.
Or not do it, take it to the Board of County Commissioners on appeal.
Yeah.
And if they deny it, take it to the circuit court. I mean.
Well, yeah, he's got
that
those
seems to
options as
be
well.
What he wants is a decision where he can move forward. He can come back to us with a redesign. He can appeal it to the county commission. And we can go home. I can go to my little house on the woods.
Yeah, I agree. First of all, two quick things. One, Dan, I live, I have a couple houses, and on any number of houses, I would love to put an indoor basketball court, and I'm not even kidding. I'd love to have that. I don't want to be outdoors because of the heat, and it's bad. I want to have a nice wood floor, better on my knees, and so on and so forth. I'd love to have that. It just doesn't fit on my lot. It just, on any of my lots. So, just because I want it doesn't mean that, we just avoid all the rules and just say do it. And the second thing, I want to just, a variance, if granted, shall be the minimum variance necessary to relieve the hardship. And that's where I'm stuck on. Because I think he can claim he can meet the other items here. We just got to get.
He's done a phenomenal job meeting everything, setback wires, putting
Right.
this thing down as high as he can. The one hangup we're having right now is the height. The 8 by 12 or 9 by 10, whatever, is not the problem. The height is hanging us up. I'm hearing 4 feet, 4 feet, 4 feet. I'm going to step back from that. I'm just going to let it go. Okay.
All right.
I
I know what you were going.
How do we go about moving this thing forward?
We need to
to
make
give
a,
him
we need to make
options?
a, we need to have, we have a motion, and we need to have a vote on this motion now to deny this. And we'll either come up with a tie, or we will come up with an affirmative, or come up with a negative. And then from there, we can make the next step, but we have to take this vote. If we vote either to deny it, then if that's what our vote is, then he has his options. I think Mr. Connor just laid out a whole bunch of the options. You know, he has options in front of us, him, and so don't the public, so.
All right.
Do we have any other comments? All right, Hannah, we have a motion to deny by Mr. Ron.
We do. The motion on the floor is to deny. Anthony Lombardo.
Nay.
Dan Wilcox.
Nay.
Timothy Connor.
Aye.
Michael Boyd.
Aye.
Ron Long.
Aye.
Mark Langelo.
Aye. So
The
we have
motion
it.
does carry 4-2.
Did you vote in favor of this
Oh.
motion?
I had Timothy Connor saying aye, Michael Boyd saying aye. Was that a nay?
You're,
I voted against it.
he
Okay.
voted, he was nay.
He was a nay.
I apologize, I misheard. So we have a tied motion, 3-3.
Yes, we have a tie motion.
Knew that was wrong.
Now let's do another one. We have to have another motion.
All right, now we need another motion. Does anyone else have another motion?
Chair, I'd like to make a motion, we deny the application in front of us for the fact that he's already got an application that meets the hardship, and in this instance, he did not prove that he had, substantial competent evidence that he has to have a 9-foot tall building.
All right, we have a motion. Do we have a second?
Second.
We have a second. Any other discussion?
Is that the same motion that we
It
just
is
had?
basically the same issue, because we're living in a bizarro world here that they're asking us to come up with a vote. And I think
have to have an answer.
if we vote to deny, if we vote in favor of this and we deny this motion, he can move forward with several steps. If not, we keep voting.
So if this motion,
Is a tie?
no, if this motion passes,
Right.
it gives our applicant options to then move forward and try to get this done some
Correct.
way or another.
Correct.
If we don't,
We're going to go.
then we're going to keep going around and around.
We will be having a 9-hour school board meeting if
No, we will call the meeting at some point, guys. We're not all going to stay all night, but anyway.
I mean, I want to give our applicant the opportunity to get this done, whether he has to take it all the way up to the courts of the Almighty, and it is what it is.
The
That's
Supreme Court could hear this one, yes.
Right, so I mean, if it's going to go around in circles and circles with us right now, it makes absolutely no sense. I want to give our applicant the opportunity to do what he needs to do to get what's needed, so, I mean, then, we need to make a decision as a board to give him that opportunity. And if we keep voting the way we are, we're not, we're going to be here all night. So let's just go ahead and move forward with, and let's see how the chips fall this time.
Do we have any other comments?
What's the motion again?
The motion is to deny it because it does not meet the minimum variance necessary to relieve the hardship.
Same as last one.
Basically the same comment.
But I said it shorter this
Same
time
as the
because
last one?
it's the same as the last one, but I said it shorter.
Because we have to have a motion because our attorney is saying we
to
can't
have an
leave it at a
answer.
tie.
The last time it was left as a tie and appealed to the board, it was remanded to you because a tie is not an answer.
Have to have it.
Okay, so
We're,
don't you think it's going to end up in a tie again?
Well, we don't know.
what are we?
I provided an option, which would be to approve the denial, and it would allow him to either appeal to the board
Right.
or to come back with a new application that would address the comments that were made here tonight
Right.
with
But
regard to
am I
moving.
misunderstanding? The board sent it back to us because they tied themselves,
Yeah.
and they didn't want to have to make the decision. They sent it back to us, or what am I missing here? Why is it back in front of us?
Because they kicked it down the road.
Well, we can't kick it up the road again.
No, yeah, we
We're
can't,
running
we're
out
not
of
allowed
options.
to.
And I just don't think that now is the time for us to say, let's just do something to give him more time, or make a new decision, or whatever. They've asked us. They put in our court, say, you guys resolve it here on this part, not them.
Well, we do have a motion right now again,
I'll
with a
follow.
shorter version of it, so.
Yeah, shorter version.
All right, Saying, hearing no other comments?
Hold on a minute, hold
Go
on.
ahead, Mike.
The last vote we took was to deny,
Yes.
The application.
to deny the application.
Right. We have to give reasons for it.
Okay. Now, this vote we're going to take is to deny the application.
Yes.
Yes, we don't
Am I
have.
missing something?
Yeah.
No, but unfortunately, we need to have, you have to keep voting until you have a yes or a no. Or it's going to come back to you again on remand.
Okay, so okay, I would like to give, man, I would like to give this gentleman an opportunity to either come back with a different application or go forward with the same one or whatever he needs to do.
Let's
So how do I accomplish that?
we have to, his denial needs to get approved, and then he has an opportunity to reapply.
Otherwise, he don't.
No, or he can appeal our decision
He
to
could
the
appeal,
commission,
which
but
is
now they
fine.
have an actual vote. They can't kick it back to us because we came up with a tie.
Right.
That's what happened before. We came up with a tie and they said, oh no, let the planning board come up with a decision.
Right.
And ask the applicant which one he wants?
Well, it's not really his choice actually, but I mean, Mike, you're a member. You can ask the applicant anything you want. You want to ask him that question?
I'll ask him.
Go ahead.
What do you want us to do?
I'd rather have you tie again, okay? I'm going to appeal in front of the,
We cannot.
They're not going to let us out of here.
let me finish, gentlemen, okay? The due process that was given to me at the county commission was not due process. The attorney stepped in and said, because you did not make a sound decision. A tie is a no vote. That's a decision, okay? Okay, so when this gets litigated, okay, and the way you guys are circling right now, due process has not been given to me, okay? So my litigation will win, okay?
Which is why I want us
All
to
right,
tie again.
and I started this, and what I was told the first time I went in front of the commission, I told them, when they told me I can reapply, I said I will carry this, okay, to run my and exhaust yous out. Yous are coming to the exhaust point, okay? I don't care how you vote right now tonight. I know where I'm going. I'm going to appeal, then I'm going to exhaust them, and then I'm going to litigate, okay? The courts are going to see it. My discovery is good, okay? And this video will carry. And I said before, I came in here in good faith, always in good faith, always, okay? And just vote, gentlemen, just vote. If you vote a tie, I'm happy with it. I'll go appeal it, and I'll see the commissioners again. And I'm going to ask them this time, because as a commissioner, they're required to make a decision. Adam gave them the vote. This is the way you're going to vote. And all of a sudden, the county lawyer stepped in and said, oh, no, you can't vote that way. So my due process was given a different avenue. You're given a different avenue tonight. You have the right to vote the way you choose to vote. That's why Michael is confused. Michael can't understand why he can't vote the way he's supposed to vote. Vote, okay? That's what we're here. That's what
Okay,
democracy
Mr.
is
Royer,
about.
thank you very much. You answered the question.
Chair, it sounds obvious that Mr. Royer wants to do whatever necessary, even if it means taking us to court over this, to get this plan done exactly the way he wants it and no other way whatsoever. So with that, my motion stands, and I think we should call the vote.
Mike, did you have anything for me?
Yeah, the last time the board tied, it was sent to the county commissioners, right?
Yes.
They sent it back to us on the technicality that the denial on a tie vote was not considered a real denial, and therefore they couldn't consider it, and sent it back to us to reconsider. If we send it to them on a denial, a 4-2 vote or unanimous, then they will have to consider the appeal on its merits. That's the way I understand it.
That is correct. Correct.
Okay. Anybody else? Hannah, could you?
Yes. The motion on the floor is to deny. Anthony Lombardo?
Yay.
Dan Wilcox?
Nay.
Timothy Connor?
Yes.
Michael Boyd?
Nay.
Ron Long?
Yay.
Mark Langella?
Yay.
The motion does carry 4-2.
Thank you very much. Okay, Mr. Royer.
We didn't tie for you, Mr. Royer.
All right, the next item on our agenda is also a quasi-judicial. Does anyone have any ex parte communications?
I do.
Yes.
And I'm going to declare that I have a, whatever you want to call it.
Conflict of
ex parte
interest?
with these guys. What?
Conflict of interest?
Yeah, I
Okay.
can't vote. I'm allowed to discuss, but I can't vote.
Okay.
So this will not go to tie.
This won't go to tie.
No way.
Okay. All right. Well, then I'll recuse myself, so we will get it. No, go ahead, Mr. Connor.
I know the Moreras from a past life, but I have not discussed this matter with them.
Okay, anybody else? I happen to know both the two applicants. I would consider them friends. However, that has nothing to do with how I vote. Okay, this is item number 2026060040. Now, who's doing this one? Hannah.
Yes, this is a request for a variance in the R1 district at 2 Valencia Street. This is an aerial of the property. You can see that it is on the corner of Valencia Street and St. John's Avenue, abutting the Intracoastal Waterway. The future land use on the property is residential low-density rural estate, and the zoning is R1. Most of the property falls within flood zone X, which is not a special flood hazard area, with the AE flood zone being that part of the Intracoastal Waterway. The soils on the property are a quartz mix, and there are no wetlands on the property. This is an excerpt from the Bonterra Estates subdivision depicting the lot as Lot 33. This is the proposed site plan. This came in at a building permit application and was kicked back by zoning for not meeting the minimum front yard setback of 25 feet. As you can see, they have 2 proposed garages on the front of the house. It's a bit of a mirror, with the closest point of the structure being 17.78 feet from the front property line that is abutting Valencia Street. That part of the structure is a little bump out on the garage. The actual wall of the garage structure is about 19.8 feet, still not meeting that 25-foot minimum front yard setback. And you can see that blown up version of the garage to the front property line off to the right of your screen. Going over the variance criteria, the subject property is again a lot of record, being roughly 26,000 square feet in size, where the minimum size required for the district is 1 acre. Being an intracoastal lot and the rear property line being roughly the mean high water line, the rear 40 feet of the property is water or riverbank and is not buildable, pushing the structure closer to the front property line and Valencia Street. The property is also a corner lot, requiring a larger side setback on the street side. With all of these factors considered, the property owners do face an unnecessary hardship. This is a before-the-fact variance request, and the applicants have at all times acted in good faith. Granting the variance would not cause substantial detriment to the public health, welfare, safety, and morals of the community or impair the purpose and intent of this article. A single-family dwelling is a permitted use in the R1 district, and the requested variance is the minimum relief necessary to alleviate the hardship. Your options as the board are to find that all the variance criteria as listed in the guidelines have been met and therefore approve project 2026060040 for a 7.5-foot front yard setback variance from the minimum required 25-foot front yard setback at 2 Valencia Street, or you can find that all the criteria have not been met and therefore deny the project, or you can continue the project on the basis that additional information is needed from staff or the applicant. With that, I will close out and await any questions or comments from the board and submit my report for the record.
Thank you, Hannah. Does anyone have any questions for Hannah?
I have one just out of curiosity. Is that setback the same on both the garages?
It's not, because it's a lot of record. So the front setback on the lot of record is 25, whereas the street side is 20.
Okay. All right. That's fine. Just out of curiosity.
Anyone else have any questions for staff? At this point, thank you very much, Anna. At this point, would the applicant like to come forward and make a presentation? You don't have to, but you're good.
May I speak for him? I would like to speak for him if I could. I did ask, am I allowed to do this?
Yeah, you can, well, he can speak.
The reason we're hearing this is because the intercoastal has pushed up so hard against the backyard. Otherwise, our discussions were they would have moved the property back to the platted limits. It's frustrating to see people lose valuable land to the encroachment of waterways and stuff. But unfortunately, the retaining wall, the stabilization was not put in until after the damage had already been done. And when we looked at this, we were quite concerned about their ability to enjoy their pool and have the home they wanted and still meet all the setbacks. And that's what created where we're at. And I hope I haven't overstepped my bounds. Okay.
Thank you, Dan.
I'm not allowed to vote.
Yeah.
Let me know.
Yeah, I mean, I think it's evident that these lots are more unique because of that the setbacks from the water and the way that this is already encroached on the property. They're substantially smaller than what would normally be used. Does anyone else have any questions, or do we have a motion?
I'm just curious as to this turnaround at the end that encroaches the property. Is that going to remain?
The one you see in the visual, the
One that I see on the.
Yeah, that one.
Here.
It's
That being used by the
staff's
public?
assumption that that's kind of just been created by the neighbors as a turnaround for the dead end there. It should not be encroaching on their property.
I believe there's actually an old boat ramp down that in the road, isn't there?
A kayak
And
launch, I
people go down
believe.
the end of that and
I
get
mean, is that an accommodation that the applicant's making to the public?
I do not believe that's the intent.
To turn around, come on,
You, Mike,
Can you come up to the
excuse me,
mic?
you got to come to the mic. And you please identify yourself.
My name is Michael Morea.
Mike,
Thank you,
I just have a question.
That little turnaround that you see there is where the county goes in and turns around.
Are you going to let people continue to use that?
No.
Okay, you're cutting that off.
Yes, sir.
Thank you.
Any other questions? I have launched a small boat off of that thing, and it's full of rocks, and it is bad, and it's probably better that they don't go down there and try to launch. It's pretty nasty. And then you sink in mud that's like 3 feet deep over there. Yeah, yeah. Okay, do we have any other comments? All right, do we have a motion?
Did you open for public comment?
Oh, I'm sorry. Would anyone in the public like to come forward and speak on this item? Seeing no one come forward, I'll close it and bring it back to the board for comments or for a motion.
I'll make a motion to approve it.
We have a motion to approve.
Yeah, I'll second.
We have a second. Do we have any other discussion on this? Seeing none. Hannah?
The motion on the floor is to approve. Anthony Lombardo,
Yay.
Dan Wilcox. Oh, I'm so sorry. Not Dan Wilcox. Timothy Connor.
Yes.
Michael Boyd.
Yes.
Ron Long.
Yes.
Mark Langella.
Yes.
The motion does carry unanimously.
Okay. You're all set, guys. Okay, number 7 is staff comments.
We do have some. One is that we are going to start using a new agenda software. So your next agenda is going to look a little different, but pretty much the same. And then I believe Sarah has a comment.
Yes, there was a question about attendance of board members, and I thought this would be a good opportunity just to give you a quick overview because it's not easily found what the attendance rules are. The board has never adopted bylaws, so what we go by is the Board of County Commissioners has adopted rules and procedures that incorporates rules for appointed boards. And with regard to attendance, those rules provide that if you fail to attend 3 unexcused consecutive regularly scheduled meetings or 5 of 12 regular meetings in a 12-month period, you are unseated from the board. The one thing I do want to say, though, is we have confirmed that provided that a quorum is in person in attendance, while we'll have to work with our communication staff to make sure that this is technically possible or technologically possible, whatever the word is, you can attend remotely and still participate in the meeting, provided that member, as I said, that a quorum is present in person. So I did just want to go over that briefly in case there's any questions on that.
Does any board member have any questions on that?
What will it take to get a seventh person?
Right.
Huh?
What will it take to get a seventh person on the board?
We have a seventh person.
He's just not here.
He's just not here.
How about in regards to like, you know, I mean, the situation we were in the first application, we haven't, you know, yeah, it's obvious, it's an even number of board members. It's obvious that, you know, it's a split vote. I don't think it's fair to our applicant, to us, to you.
And to the public.
And to the public, that we have to sit here all night and go round and round and round over a split vote because we don't have our odd number that we need. I think there should be something in place there. If we don't have our odd number in place to have a, you know, a vote that will not end in a tie, that we should be tied to having to, you know, make exceptions or try to do things to you know, to move it to you know, the next phase to get it pushed through again. I don't think it's fair to anyone involved. So I mean, that would be something that needs to go before maybe the commission to make a decision on how we run things moving forward.
Well,
This new tech, I'm sorry.
well, I mean, you can tell me I'm wrong. I've sat on a lot of boards before, and this kind of board in particular. And I don't think there's a reason why we couldn't adopt rules. And I guess if the county commission doesn't like the rules we adopt, they could, well, come back and make some comment to change them. But we're supposed to be able to be an independent board. We're not just.
I'll be more than happy then to.
We did, in a previous version of this, we actually did vote, and this previous version of the planning board, Mike, I think you were here back then, and we actually had, procedures. And we adopted, for instance, Robert's Rules, which, if I'm not mistaken, says that a tie vote is a denial. You either vote in the affirmative or it's a denial. But that's not what we're here litigating right now. I'm just saying that if staff has if you guys want to propose a bunch of rules to us, we could always approve these rules and, you know, have a discussion on a night that we're not here too late.
In looking at the file on the planning board, there were bylaws that were presented previously. I can present those to you again. I don't believe it addresses this situation, but it's certainly something we can address in there.
Yeah, I mean, you guys would come up with a proposal, and then we could hammer it out.
But we could add that in.
Yeah.
In our review.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Well, I think this new tech that you're talking about, I think that's going to help us get to a point where, I mean, I think Goodman's out of the country right now, but in situations where you just can't get here, you're in Texas or something, you'll be able to do a vote via Zoom, I guess is the best way to put it. And if we can make the time, if we as a board can make sure that even if we can't be in here in person, that we definitely at least show up via the internet, then we can maintain a board of 7 people each time and not have to worry about that issue.
There always may be some instance we can't get the 7, but that's the hope is to get there. Mr. Carner has attended our boards a few times in the past during COVID via Zoom. I remember those.
Yeah, we did that during the Zoom era.
Yes.
And it was a regular feature, and it worked reasonably well. It was kind of clunky.
It was.
It wasn't as smooth as the way they do it in the court side, but it was still workable.
But if it could at least get us to, if not 7, at least an odd number of members on the board, if one of them can show up through Zoom when we have 4 or 6 members here, then maybe that could help.
Or one of us gets up and goes to the bathroom when there's a vote.
That's a possibility too. I truly, yeah.
Staff, do you have anything else? I have, let's see, we are at board comments.
I have a couple of questions, I guess. Maybe it's comments. So my question is it possible, is it procedurally allowed for us to reconsider a decision that we've made at a prior meeting?
The code provides for appeal of previous decisions with regard to, I think you're talking about special exceptions or variances, that the final decision comes from the board, from the planning board, I mean. Is that correct?
Yeah, my question is, can the board itself revisit a decision at a later board meeting?
The way that the code addresses this is appeals can be filed by either the applicant, county staff, or the public within 300 feet of the property, provided that they have participated in an earlier
So we
hearing.
can initiate on a vote to rehear something and call it back up.
No, but you can express that desire to the staff, and we can
And then
consider
staff
that.
could file the appeal and
Yes.
we could go from there.
Correct.
So that would be the procedure.
Yes.
If we had a concern about a vote because it was not well-founded on available information, or available information was withheld, or we discovered later on that a witness didn't get a chance to put all of their information on the record,
Yes.
then that would be, any of those things would be grounds for one of us individually to come to you and say, we think that this needs to be reheard because there's an issue of competent evidence that didn't come in.
It would ultimately be a staff decision whether staff would move forward with the appeal, but yes, that would be the,
And that would be the way to do it.
correct.
We just call you on the phone.
Yes.
Okay, thank you.
Yeah, and the appeal, to clarify, the appeal would go to the Board of County Commissioners, not back to the planning board.
Yeah. I actually expressed to you guys earlier that I actually have a problem with the decision that we made, and I thought we would see if we can get a consensus of the board to understand what my problem was. I want to be careful not to litigate it. So I just want to state the facts that I have and try not to litigate it for an applicant who's not here, so that we're not violating their rights. Sarah, so you tell me when just interrupt me when I'm overstepping. We heard on the last board meeting 2 items, and a couple things popped up afterwards about that. I was notified by the applicant, not the applicant, one of the people in the audience, that the road that led to the landfills that we approved was a road that the bridge was only designed for 44,000 pounds. And the trucks, and in my experience, knows that these trucks are up to 80,000 pounds. So this was a concern that regular, everyday, normal traffic over and over and over on these roads are going to deteriorate the road. I did bring this up to you guys, and I'd ask you to go to engineering, and engineering's, I guess, response, and Chuck, correct me if I'm wrong, but the engineering response was basically, well, we maintain the road, so we'll fix the problem. Am I wrong, Chuck?
Okay. They had commented, I believe it was 24 tons.
Yeah.
And they had commented that they'd get yearly inspections, and they really didn't have an issue with trucks over 24 tons.
Yeah, so I mean, these trucks would be almost double the weight on a regular basis, and that's my concern. Not a truck, a ton is 2,000 pounds, so it was 22 tons is 44,000 pounds, and a dump truck, it could be up to 80,000 pounds legally, and illegally more. So this constant traffic on that road did have a concern, but that was one aspect to it. The other aspect was that the Class 3 landfills, we were led to believe that the applicants could not do solid waste on those approvals that we got, because they told us that they were doing vegetative waste, organic waste. However, upon reading it, especially one in particular, the applicant, all they had to do is go back in front of the DEP, I think was the regulating body, just go to DEP and put in an application. We, in fact, had approved solid waste dump in that neighborhood, and I don't think any of us, we asked those questions, but that's not the way the order was. I spent a little bit of time looking at the order with staff, and one of them in particular, one of them had a caveat that probably precludes it, the other one didn't. I thought a remedy would be, and I proposed this a few times, would be an amendment to the ordinance for Class 3 landfills that our variance, that our special exception variances, it's a special exception, would not automatically give a solid waste aspect to that. That has to go in front of the county commission. Let the political, let it hear us, that's the public comment, and then let it go there, and that gives the public two shots at it and gives everybody eyes on what happened. Because when we heard that, and if you tell me if you think that they could put a solid waste on there, because if you all think they couldn't do it, we're all wrong. That's why I'm bringing this up.
We're led to believe they couldn't. Yeah, I agree with Mr. Boyd.
Right, and I don't think there was any harm or ill will towards that intent. It's just not the way it was written. I don't think the applicants intend to do that, but it doesn't matter what they intend. That right gives them the right to do it, and you know, people change their minds. They just, you know, I can get into the solid waste business, and you know, there was a person here tonight that had a solid waste transfer station and sold it for a lot of money, and you know, that somebody else could look at that and say, geez, I think I'll put that on my property, you know, and now these neighbors who weren't crazy about it, but we said it was vegetation, now they have flies and rats and everything else around their property, and you know, and these kind of trucks. So I was hoping that we could either appeal the decision and/or make an motion to make an amendment to the motion that would say, not the motion, but the ordinance that would say any landfills, new landfills, or any existing ones that have not had an approval for a solid waste for Class 3 would have to get that approval by the county commission. So that was, I'm not the writer of an ordinance, that's just what I proposed. Okay. I don't know how you guys feel about that.
I had to leave early for that meeting, so.
Yeah, you did leave early.
I didn't get some.
Unfortunately, they didn't know what happened to you. They were looking on the tables and everything for you.
Chair.
Yes, go ahead.
This is good information. And just another side note, we're going to start on the RFP for the Land Development Code rewrite.
Mm-hmm.
And this will be good information that we're going to add to our list of corrections. And it's probably going to be split up with construction debris, solid waste, and then vegetative debris. Because solid waste would include, of course, I'm going to use the word garbage, where construction debris would be different. So we may have those three categories, and one may be a special use versus a special exception where it has to go to the board. So
Thank you,
that's
Chuck.
things to think
And
about.
I think Mike's been here for a long time. I think if Mike and I both had $1 for every time they were going to do a rewrite on the land development code,
I can promise
we
you,
would be
I can
multimillionaires.
promise you it's going to happen this time.
Okay. I hope they do it, but maybe because either we do an appeal of our decision based on the information that we gleaned, thought we're not doing that, and I think I would kind of do both of them to be clear, to make sure. That's my suggestion. I don't know. I'm leaving it. Again, it's going to be up to staff, but I don't know. Do we have a consensus about that, guys? Anyone not feel that way? That they can,
I know the one you're talking to in your speech.
you got to get into the mic a little bit.
I do know the project I believe that you're speaking to, and I believe the applicant at that time came forward and straight up said they are not doing solid waste, have no intention of doing it, and have no desire to do that. Does that preclude them from switching their mind, changing their mind?
No, because that particular special exception runs with the land, so if they were to sell the property, that new owner could come in.
And even if so, you'd have to bring that out and say, well, the order says one thing, but they promised something in a meeting. I mean, they could just go down and apply for it and get it. I mean, I think we were fighting it that way, is what I'm saying. It's not clear. And I think
it makes it tough when you have all of them lumped in one basket. There are three very distinct uses. I agree with Chuck. You have your totally different uses, your solid waste, your MRF, materials recovery facility, and your recycling, whatever you call that, your vegetative, and then you have the C&D, the construction demo. They're completely alien to one another. They're not compatible. I think that's something that should be brought forward.
Yeah, there's no malice toward these particular applicants, I don't think. I trust that what they told us at the meeting was what they intended. But I think the point here is that nothing stops them from getting an offer they can't refuse the next day, selling out to a larger operator, and that operator not having any of the scruples that the particular applicant came to us with. And we're giving them these blanket approvals based on permits and things that they have that they can expand. Then we need a way to control that. So what do you need from us? Do we need to have an official vote or something to encourage this to be included, or
I
do
think we just need a consensus.
Agree by consensus?
Well, there were two identical applications at the same time.
Yeah.
It's either both of them come back, in my opinion, or neither.
I agree.
The second one actually was
Well, one of them
only
had
runs with the current owner.
Yeah.
And as I recall, also included a condition that it could only be yard waste. It was the first one that was not similarly conditioned.
Yeah, the one owner thing wouldn't preclude it though, because that even if that one owner didn't want to do it, someone offers him $10 million. He said, just keep your name on it, and we'll operate under your name. I mean, that's not stopping it.
What were the difference in the two? Why were they?
Well, because we heard the first one. It was a late night, and I apologize. I was a little flippant that night, and I was just trying to get it going, and we didn't hear much. The applicant didn't say much. Actually, matter of fact, I don't think he even spoke when he first got a chance to. Yeah, and then only one gentleman, which was upset with the road, and we addressed the road issue with it had to be maintained to a certain county level and blah, blah, blah. And then we just passed it. The next one, the neighbors all got up and started expressing their concern. But even at that, we were addressing those concerns, and we really, even though we asked about the solid waste, it really wasn't our primary thing. So the first one got through without any mention to it. The second one, we did put something in there, but I think that, to your effect, that if we did both of them, we would do it cleanly. That's what I thought. Just do it cleanly. Because he also had a problem with the way we made it one owner. And I think that was a problem that he had. So it might be to his benefit. We're not taking what he wanted to do away. We're changing something that, to make him fair for both sides. Because why did one guy able to change it and the other guy wasn't? And that was, again, on our fault. We did not hear the public who was in that neighborhood really did not come and speak on, I don't know why. They didn't speak on the one, they spoke on the second one. So if they both get brought back, we can fix both of them.
The interest on the one was because it was on a heavily used roadway. The other was, it's a dead-end street kind of a deal. The only was only one neighbor that was impacted by it, and he was
It was a
vocal
private,
about
it was their part, then has to go down a private
Yeah.
road, which they had their own agreement to it.
Exactly, yeah. Well, then the question I come up is, how can we say this or bring this in so they don't lose what they've already gained? That's a risk. If they bring it back to the public, they lose what they've gained. But
Well, are you saying that you think the commission would vote against them ever having this in the first place?
that's a risk.
I mean, it is a risk.
It
but
is a
is
risk.
that what you
and
think that
who knows where that's going to go? And who knows who has what axe to grind or whatever with whomever. But that being said, they've already gained a win, a special exception, to do this in their one. If we bring it back and relitigate it, it exposes them to complete denial of everything. And now they're back to ground zero after having made a lot of progress in their plans based on our previous vote.
Well, the second applicant, who we did put a little bit more, better language in there to stop the solid waste, didn't like the way we prohibited him to one owner, and we weren't fair as far as the other guy who we didn't put that limitation on. So that's why if we did both, there is a shot that they could fix them both, and they would have the chance to get in there and speak about it. And honestly, if they said they don't get what they got, I mean, they would have that same opportunity to profess it. And if it was a worthy thing, a lot of times we hear something and we just give a recommendation, and it's up to them to make a final. It's the same type of thing.
I agree. I don't disagree. I'm bringing up the fact that they've built their lives around this previous decision. Is it correct for us now to go back and bring it back up and say, okay, you now have to present your case again, take the time out of your world, bring all your stuff back together, present it to the public who already hates you, and then get another vote? I don't think that's completely correct. but I may be wrong.
The code does only provide for a 30-day appeal period, so it's not, and their order, I believe, mentions the appeal period. So
That's correct.
they should know that there's the period of 30 days where there's uncertainty whether it's
We've
set.
exceeded that, though, correct?
No, it's not been 30 days yet.
Okay.
And to your point, Mr. Langelo, about the ordinance, I'd be a little concerned with that, not passing the more burdensome test of 180. Unfortunately, at
Is
this
that
point.
still out there?
It is still out there.
So in Chair, when you said to fix both decisions, and I'm going to look at Hannah, I believe the second one on Hawk Creek had the condition of vegetative waste only, correct?
It did, yes.
So,
The transfer.
and I think you're asking for that same condition to be put on the one on 304, is that correct? The so-called.
That
fix
would
it?
be the simplest way to address that issue.
Because as staff, we need to know why we're appealing this. And if the appeal is to put the condition of vegetation, yard waste only on the Class 3 landfill, that's what direction we would take.
Well, do we limit it to one owner like we did the first one to be fair?
That would be if we would have it run with the owner, as we did on the second one. And I think you're correct in the statement where it could be an LLC and they could change managers and it would be the same as selling the property. So I think your opinion that always doesn't correct things would be right. But if you want to make it to correspond to the second one, we would have both those conditions to be appealed.
Do we need to make this, the first one also held to the standard that they can't transfer, is that what you're saying?
That's, yeah.
They're held to themselves or their family, whatever the closely held.
It doesn't go with the land, it would be,
I'm looking at Sarah, if
that would be
I
the,
think.
If the
Mr.
bill is
O'Connor's
because both
was a
weren't
closely held
consistent.
corporation, is that what you said?
No, but even
need
a
a reason.
transfer to an LLC or a family corporation doesn't stop the future transfer because the equity position can be
Right.
sold off. In other words, it could be a family-owned LLC today, and then all the members change tomorrow, and now it's no longer the family's company. So in order to keep it really a one-owner kind of operation, you got to limit not only that it goes to an LLC, but it has to be a closely held LLC. It can go to a trust, but it has to be a family trust. It can go to
well,
a
I don't think that's,
corporation,
but
it
I don't
has
think
to be
that's the way we
closely
did
held,
it.
and that's the only way to control that it's really that owner in the future. Otherwise, they can sell the corporation off the next day, and it's as if they just passed it down the road and we didn't control it at all.
But
So
did-
there's
but that's-
nuances to these things that have to be considered.
But I don't know if that's the way, did we say a closely held? We did say that. Okay.
Second one was a corporate or LLC.
Yeah.
The one,
So you know, if we were trying to be fair so that we weren't, being burdensome to one and not another, and that would be in the public interest of maintaining that these don't get out of control. That's basically why you're trying to limit that. It wasn't going to be.
And just as a side note, we approved a couple more of these previously with no conditions on them, like we're talking about. So just to keep that in mind.
I don't remember. I know we did dirt pits and borrow pits.
We did,
but I don't remember. I don't remember a solid waste, a class 3 solid. I mean, not solid waste, but
There were two Class 3 landfills up in the Potatoeville, Yelvington, Isaacson area within the last year.
And we don't think those started yet.
One is operational.
Okay, one's operational.
I think that's an important distinction too. I mean, we're recognizing that with the level of development and construction that's going on, having these disposal sites for land clearing and those sorts of things is a good idea.
It's important.
Because it keeps the trucks off the roads
Yeah.
as much as
It keeps
puts
costs
trucks on
down
the road.
too.
Because they have a smaller distance to travel, package concrete plants, the same thing, and all that kind of stuff. What we don't want to do, though, in the process is open up Flagler County to the future to have little private dumps all over the place. And that's the point.
Exactly. Yeah, I think the idea of them, the same thing with the borrow pit, was that we needed them for not only our growth, but also to maintain our, the roads and cost structures.
I mean, there's a
Recogni-
vegetation, one of
recognizing-
them,
I'm sorry,
one of
go
them
ahead.
has a vegetation,
Constraint.
doing vegetation disposal, one of them, the one up near.
Right, but the one that has that, we limited him to just that closely held LLC. The first one, we didn't do that to. So if we're only gonna address the first one, then are we going to, and again, this is, I don't know if it's for us to tell you what the legal way to approach it is. I just think that, I think you guys are gonna have to hash that out. But do you hit both things to try to be fair in that instance or not? And that's, first of all, does staff have any problem with taking back and appealing this?
Would it not be better for us just to let the rewrite happen that is coming forward and let them address it at that point?
Dan, you haven't been on this board long enough.
I know, but I'm just, I know.
I used to
rewrites
have a
since I got
full
on
set
the
of
board.
dark hair,
Yeah.
and I'm serious. When I
Rewrites
first heard,
take time, I know that,
Yeah.
staff.
So Sarah, if I may clarify, just for some clarification to the board, there were 4 conditions imposed on the second Haw Creek landfill that were not imposed on the first Hudson Allen Road landfill. So it's not just the 1 or the 2.
But correct me if I'm wrong, Hannah. 2 of them were specific to that site. They had to do with the fence or something like that.
Yeah, one of them had to do with the fence. One of them had to do with Mr. Connors wanting them to connect to US 1 if and whenever available.
Yeah,
And,
which were
and then the
unique
2
to
that you
that-
guys are referring to.
Which
But
was
there's-
unique to that one. It couldn't really be applied to the other one. But does staff have any problem with bringing it back? With appealing it and on behalf of our board?
Think it would probably be wise for us to contact the applicant so they're not caught off guard. They did contact us. Hannah, did you have contact with
The old Haw Creek applicant, yes.
and I don't believe they were ready to go yet, right?
I believe he still has some design to do. His major concern actually was the fence, and then his second concern was the one applicant, that he couldn't change the ownership.
Couldn't change the ownership.
When is their sunset? When is the 30-day sunset? When does that happen?
The order was signed and rendered on July 30th, so we have until August 30th to appeal.
There would be public comment at the appeal, so they would be able to comment. Is that correct, Sarah? There would be, they would have standing.
Yeah, they would have standing. They would be able to present, I'm assuming,
They would
right?
be, yes, they would have an opportunity to present as,
The litigant or whatever.
right.
Yeah.
And as I recall, I believe we might have did this on the boat storage. Maybe Mr. Langella, you remember if staff ever appealed. I can't recall. It might have been the boat storage.
I thought the applicant appealed, and then the applicant kind of walked out of the room at the last minute on that.
There was a lot of activity on that.
Yeah, there was a lot.
So I can't remember if staff has ever appealed a planning board decision or not.
Hey, there's a first for everything. Okay.
I really
Are we good? We all good?
I really question if we're in our correct place by bringing things back. That's just my concern. It sets a really bad precedent that, well, we'll make a decision, we'll change our mind, come back.
I think
we need to be in that
every
position.
circumstance, Dan, has to be looked at it by itself.
don't doubt
And if
that,
you
but
know, so I think
Once
if
we
there's
make a
a purpose
decision,
for
move
it,
on. That's my opinion. I'll go
Well-
with you on that. That's my perspective. I don't go back and address stuff twice, but that's me.
I mean, there's, to look at these issues, there's really nobody else revisiting it, if you know what I'm saying. The issue of it being a solid waste thing is not something that the public itself would even understand or be able to come back at. This is really up to us, and we dropped the ball on it, and I hate to say that we did that, but I would say that it happened the other night, and that way, if we were to try to fix it, that would try to fix a wrong. If the precedent is we don't ever want to fix our wrongs, I don't know.
I don't even like to admit I'm wrong, much less fix it. Let's be honest with myself here.
Chair, I just have one more comment. If we contact staff, they may want to come back. They're concerned about the fence that is actually a deed restriction on the neighbor's property. best case scenario, I don't know what's going to happen. They would come back and we would impose that condition and maybe talk about the fence. I'm just saying what would be an amendment to it. I'm looking at Sarah, but that would be one way to look at it if they're agreeable. And the fence condition is already on that deed restriction on the neighbor's property, so they could enforce it.
Yeah, I don't know if we need to enforce the
I don't
fence,
know.
but that, he's bringing up another item, Dan, on there, just,
Because the
trying to
fence.
fix all the evils.
The fence is on their deed.
I understand
that the adjacent property can enforce the fencing of the property. So it's one of those things where, for us to take it to the board is maybe unknown versus if the applicant may not agree to this because they're still worried about the other conditions. But we're going to try to contact them.
If we do hear this again, it has to be advertised and everything has to be a complete
Yeah,
formal
it
bring
would be
back. We
an
can't just
amendment, but
discuss it among ourselves. It has
The
to be,
appeal would be to the Board of County
Yeah,
Commissioners.
the appeal would be.
but everyone has to hear it. The public's going to have
But
access
if-
to it, everybody.
If we can contact the applicant and try another way to do it, it's all about communication. We don't want to hit them blindside with an appeal to the board, but if they want to come back here, we don't know yet till we contact them, so I'm just throwing that out.
Ultimately, staff will get together, including staff not present here, to discuss whether to appeal and if we do, the manner in which we do so.
Thank you. Okay, any other board comments? Open up to public comment. Anyone in the public like to step forward and speak on an item that has not been on our agenda or that will not be on our agenda? Mr. Roy, make sure you protect your rights by not speaking on something that would affect you. Because the public need, if you're going to give testimony to a board, you need to do it in an advertised manner. That's why we say it's an item not on our agenda or one we won't be hearing.
Mr. Raymond Royer, Panders Hill. It's funny that you touched this subject that you're discussing right now, and you have to look at the Robert's rules. You say you're under Robert's rules. Me and Sarah had a discussion. It's not a law, but it gives you a proper guideline, and you unfortunately go in and out. I happen to also be here the day that you did that application of those two renderings, and I thought, wow.
Mr. Roy,
All right.
you're relitigating your item that we heard tonight. And
All
again,
right,
I
so
warn you, that
I'm
is
just-
not
I'm just
why
gonna leave
I'm
it.
going
I'm
to
just gonna
cut
leave
you
it.
off and if we're going to continue. I don't want to do that to you, but it's for your own
Yeah,
protection
I'm just
as
gonna,
well.
I'm just gonna
Okay.
say this much. I appreciate you voted tonight because it allows me to move on. And Mark, you made the comment, you're supposed to be an independent board. And the decision that was given down to you was not fair. But you voted, and I was glad you voted. Outside of that, I'm going to move on and do my thing. You just need to, the board and use yourself, and Sarah knows where I'm kind of going with this. You just need to get more a sound due process. The due process to this is horrible. It really is. I was a representative for the union, and I never lost a man's job, okay, because I did due process, okay? And due process is, in labor, we have a labor contract and they have a management contract, and we come to agreement. And that's what I was here for today. And unfortunately, you guys were in a bind to make a decision. I'm glad you finally made one. Outside of that, you'll see me again, unfortunately. And like Timmy said, you're a fighter. And Mark, like you said, I'll see you again, and we'll move forward. And outside of that, thank you for having me here tonight, gentlemen. And get home and kick back and have a brewski if you guys drink. Outside of that, thank you very much.
Thank you, Mr. Royer. Okay, seeing nobody else in the public, I close public comment and I ask for an adjournment.
Here I move.
We have
a second.
two motions.
motions
Thank
and
you.
two
We're
seconds.
adjourned.